Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good lunchtime, good brunch time. It's Genius Specs Talk commentary time, and today we are doing the 40th anniversary of Superman the movie. I was going to make a lame joke about that I was the best Superman film and refer it to Batman v Superman, but that'd be a shit joke. So join us as ever is Mr. Dave Bond and Miss Rebecca Andrews.
Hello.
Good evening, folks.
And of course, joining us, our superhero expert is Mr. Charlie Brigden.
Hi.
So, so shall we just crack on with it then? Because
yes,
it's about how long is this movie? It's about
it's
2:23.
It's 2:23 for me and Charlie.
Theatrical.
But Becca's gone with the DVD.
My Blu-ray has gone missing. I don't know where it is. So I've got my lovely DVD, which has got two lots of content on either side. So.
Don't worry, I'm with the DVD one anyway. So I'm with you, Becca.
Honestly, not only has she got a DVD, but we're late getting underway, and a message popped up saying, "Sorry, I put it in upside down." So not only is it a DVD, it's a flipper. So
good old flipper.
So I thought by next week it'll be. Hang on a minute, just got to wind up the cine film.
And I'll be like, hold on a minute, I've got to listen to this, I've got to watch the charades telling me what the film is.
Almighty. Alright, so...
Well, on side A there's content, side B there's content, so you get value for money of Warner Brothers.
God almighty. Anyway, so... so we're on sort of the proper sort of NTSC speed, if you like. You two, because Chris is on the DVD as well, which has surprised me somewhat.
We're on the PAL side.
They'll two sort of run ahead of us a bit and probably keep pausing or try and figure out where we are from what we're saying. So this is going to be a mess, folks, which is what a bona fide classic like this deserves.
And then next week, my Blu-ray will probably turn up and it'll be like, bugger.
Arse.
You'll find it like under your nose all the whole time. You'll be like...
Yeah, it was literally on my desk.
Mine was in the shed.
What you'll find is we'll hit the credits and then you'll glance over and see it on the shelf. Go like, fuck.
Oh no!
All right, love. I'm just off out of the shed to watch Superman.
Well, no, I had to go to the shed to grab it because we recently had our garden renovated. We had a new shed put in, and have kind of used it to kind of just put things in for the moment and just kind of a dumping ground really. And there was a box of Blu-rays that was hanging around that I had sorted out that just went in there. So they just went in there for now. And I was in there the other day and I was just looking through them briefly and I thought, oh, that's Superman. I'll probably, yeah. And then I remembered it tonight that I had to go and to grab it from there.
Go and retrieve it.
Yes.
Good work.
So yeah. After 3 years, we really know how to prep for a podcast.
Well, you just put it in and play and record, don't you? That's all you do.
That's all the prep you need.
And if you're Becca, you run back to the machine and flip it over.
Actually, if you have one of those release, literally side A has content and side B has content, so...
Well, I used to have this version, but there's been about 4 versions of Superman.
Yeah, I'm cheap. I bought it in a charity shop.
Let's just be grateful that you don't have to pause it and then wait for it to flip over to the other side to watch the other half.
Yeah, this is.
Oh yeah, you used to have to do that. You used to have to swap the discs on the DVD of Lord of the Rings, the extended one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Godfather Part 2 as well. Yeah, too.
Yes,
but there you go.
Over.
So, okay, so for anyone listening, theatrical version. So if you've got box sets, anything like that, you're looking for the version that on Blu-ray at least is 2 hours and 23 minutes. Obviously, if you've got 2 versions of it, in whichever format, it's the shorter of those 2.
Okay. So without further ado, let's watch it on 3. So 1, 2, and 3.
Jeffrey Unsworth. He's been dead nearly 40 years now. Died just after the filming of this. Cinematographer. Did some utterly beautiful stuff. I think he did stuff like Zardoz, and I think he did 2001. I picked Zardos because it's weird looking, but
With that mankini.
It manages to make an ugly design beautiful. But all these films have a dreamlike quality, and we'll sort of get to that in this film a bit later.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think he's the right man for the job, really, for this one.
It's an odd way to start this film, even though it doesn't refer back to it at all.
The odder way to start this film was me to mention Jeffrey Unsworth and Dave Zardos first. That's a bit like me, Marlon Brando dying, and me saying the star of the island of Dr. Moreau. It's like you might have missed the point there, Dave.
I think
Marlon Brando, the guy who's in that Johnny Depp film Brave.
The great Robert De Niro from The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
A famous actor from the worst film.
Well, I mean, in 1978, the comic films were not the way they are now. So you've got to think of people looking at the source material, and that's kind of how they're tackling it. I mean, it's like Marvel. You got the beginning of the Marvel logo, and I guess the DC one after was all made up of the pages, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just like, was this the first one, or at least the first proper high-profile one? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, because this was like the first proper comic films since the 60s and the Batman TV series and things like that. Yeah, it says Superman musically.
I mean, you had various TV films and attempts at different things, and in certain territories, films would get theatrical releases. I mean, the TV show, The Incredible Hulk, the two-part opener to that, was released theatrically in this country. I think it's possible Spider-Man was as well, the Nicholas Hammond version from the television. There was early in the 70s, there was a sort of variant on Wonder Woman that got some kind of release. But we're talking big budget and release worldwide here. And we're talking prestige names. I mean, the name Glen Ford has just flashed past on Where I Am now. Proper name actors, proper people with pedigree.
Yeah, the fact that he's like sixth build.
Absolutely. And there's a certain irony to it, because the Salkinds were famously cheap. And yet, actually, they really did put the money on the screen here.
I was going to say, you can tell that's where they put the money. They spent it on the talent.
Well, essentially, they made
and the effects and the graphics.
They're looking to make 2 films out of one shoot, really, so it was a bit of a...
Yeah, I mean, Valerie Perrine's name went by a few moments ago. I think I talked about it on the original review. The first choice for it, I think, might have been Anne Margaret or something like that. They were Goldie Hawn wanted $2 million, and then they made a deal with someone else for $500,000, and then hired Valerie Perrine for half of that, and invited the other woman to sue, calling her bluff and hoping she wouldn't. So they were constantly nickel and diming people. By the time of the full shoot for the second one, if you like, Jack O'Halloran was having to physically threaten them to get his money. So they're very, very cheap in some respects, but they threw money at this overall. They just did. This is not the sort of Canon Films version of a superhero film, although we got there eventually. And even the off-screen talent, I mean, Stuart Baird's name's just gone by. You know, there may not be a better editor working anywhere.
John Williams.
And John Williams would obviously go without saying. And he had his name by then. It wasn't like early in his career. John Williams would have been in his sort of late 40s by now, and he'd already done some really iconic stuff.
And he won 3 Oscars.
Yeah.
You got Mario Puzo as well, so you got a bit of Godfather, prestige.
Yeah, Godfather connection.
Yeah. Turned in a 500-page script.
Wow. Epic.
Well, when you think it's a minute a page, roughly.
Well, exactly. Jesus.
How big was that J.J. Abrams flyby Superman script?
I have read that script, although I can't really remember it now. I can remember bits. I remember the dancing suit.
It wasn't 500 pages.
It wasn't 500 pages, no. I don't remember it being unusually long, although they did cram a lot into it. They did everything in it, but they did everything in it really quickly. Pierre Spengler appears to have been the problem.
Yeah.
He was the one that Donna really couldn't get on with. And Donna said that all the time he was making this film, he didn't even see a budget. They kept telling him he was over time and over budget, and then wouldn't tell him what the time of budget was.
Well, that's not helpful.
And it's not really, is it? You're spending too much. How much can I spend? It's a secret.
It's a secret.
You're on need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know. Well,
No, that's it. I need to know. You don't need to know.
So we're just coming in on the red sun here, just coming underneath to Krypton in the version. Just going to keep giving sort of visual cues like that, just in case Becca and Chris need to pause or do anything like that.
oh no, yeah, fine. I think I'm on the same track.
Yeah, this is the bit where he's about to turn back the Earth.
Yeah, they're well ahead.
So that's what it is. This man's already been round, turned the Earth, so that's why we're quicker.
The sad thing is...
I'm already on the end credits. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
In their version, Superman can fly faster, but unfortunately so can the missiles.
Damn it.
It's like, oh, bollocks!
And all the voices are in high pitch, and the music's like Benny Hill.
What colour panties do you like pink?
Who's got me? Who's got you?
Guilty.
All of them.
Marlon Brando sounds the same, whatever he does.
Yeah, Barry White sounds like George Michael. You know? Yeah. Now I'm led to believe, because obviously Guy Hamilton was attached to this first, but I believe Mark McConnell hinted at something different, really, because the cinematographer would have been, or the production designer would have been. No, actually, what am I saying? I think some of the original designs may even have been. Oh, Charlie, the conceptual artist who had Parkinson's in the end, Star Wars.
John Barry.
Ralph McQuarrie. That's it.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't think of the name for a second. I think he did some designs for this, but all of the crystals was Donner's idea. The original take on sort of Krypton apparently was going to be a lot more the sort of greens and purples that you see in some of the comic book takes.
Mm.
It's all the better for this clipped formal society.
What is it? So what did Krypton look like in the comics? There are lots of like green kind of fields or something.
Oh yeah, and they were very kind of regal and kind of. It was a lot more outlandish. Because obviously in a comic book, it's like you were saying about Aquaman. It's like they can draw anything because it's not about you've got no budget. But
takes I've seen, greens and purples were very dominant in the color palette. Lots of capes, and I don't mean like Superman capes. I mean like long flowing robes almost.
Regal capes, yeah.
Very kind of regal, yeah. Lots of like headdresses. That sort of thing, tiaras, that sort of stuff. It could literally translated look really camp, particularly in the 70s. And of course, it would have
like
looked
Zardos.
Like Zardos, yeah. Well, there was some test footage from Hamilton's version of it, and it looked awful. Really, really awful. It may even be on side B, Becca.
It might be on side B, yes.
You could find it.
Let me have a look. What is on side B?
I always thought the lighting here was really interesting. The way they just look really, really sick, and kind of the pale and all the shadows lit from beneath them.
Yeah, they do look quite pasty.
I think Chris may have pointed that out about Terrence Stamp first time round. And I said he actually looks unwell.
Yeah.
He does.
He looks like he's got like pale makeup on. Almost. But it could just be the lighting though.
Yeah, I don't really know, but I know that.
Would it be a mix of the both?
I don't.
But it has that effect though. He does just look like he's got no colour in his face.
Sick soul or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, look at his eyes.
Yeah.
Kind of
a tiny bit bloodshot and.
Yeah. The pink.
Yeah.
But it's quite. I think it's really good how you can even probably just look at both three of those characters, and you pretty much have a good estimate about. You pretty much know essentially all about them really just from looking at them.
Yeah.
You can sort of look at Norm, look at his type of character. You can look at Ursula. You can probably guess what type of character she is. I
mean, it's certainly a disco band we never got to hear. Those outfits. But I've always loved this. This has always looked like a set, obviously, but I never had a problem with it. A little picture. But I do love it.
It's otherworldly, though, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah, it really is. And that for its era is not terrible compositing. Them tiny in the frame like that.
No.
That's like an album cover, though.
No, yeah. They're about to become imprisoned in Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, it does look a little bit like that.
In the sort of Donner cut, you see them in sort of that sort of square, but it almost like they're just stood in a big black room, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the Donner version, it's quite interesting. It almost they look crammed in and in pain, and in the Donner version, they just look like they're in a void. They look, looks like the most boring existence in the world, but not uncomfortable in the same way.
Well, it's kind of worse really because they're kind of sent into like Phantom Zone, like prison. So would it look worse if they're kind of hemmed in, or worse if you're in a void, which is just surrounded by nothingness? So.
I suspect it might just be the elements they had to put it together.
Maybe.
They just got some B-roll of the three of them stood close together.
And just squished it all into one.
Yeah, in the Donner version. Trevor Howard there, once again, most famous for that role where he didn't do that woman. And it was scandal.
Well, he did the right thing and do it with Laura.
Yeah.
That is also one of my all-time favourite films. I must watch it every Valentine's Day because I'm sad.
What? Because you're not getting any, so you may as well watch a film where they're not getting any either.
Whether I'm single or not, I watch it anyway. Maybe that's why I'm single. No, it's just one of those great romantic stories, isn't it? You just think, oh, so.
I don't think I've seen it.
Brief Encounter.
Yeah, no, I've not seen it.
It's really kind of charming, but I don't think I realised what I was going to see when I first watched it as a much, much younger man. And I was is that it?
Literally.
He didn't even shag her.
That's why it's a brief encounter.
She didn't even get her tits out.
No.
And actually, you're saying brief encounter, that doesn't preclude sex, certainly on my sort of performance level.
I didn't even see any briefs.
Put a hand on your shoulder. Yeah, no brief encounter.
No briefs, no encounters, false advertising.
Quite quickly first time.
Quick, let's call it FSA. Not FSA. Trading standards even, TSA.
Am I right that remembering in the sequel they abandoned this look?
I thought you meant brief encounter too.
What's a brief encounter? What do you want about?
This time he gets a little fondle.
Yeah, this time he gets to squeeze your ass.
This time it's just a tip.
On a train.
This time it's personal.
Just a brief encounter too, just the tip.
Just a dip.
Everyone waiting for part 3. Abandon this look in part 2, sorry, of what?
Superman 2.
Yeah, no, I understand you meant Superman 2, but what look are you on about? The Kryptonians would look the same, didn't they?
Yeah, but the shine on it.
Yeah, well, it was a nightmare to shoot. Because as soon as you touched it at all, it lost that luminescence.
Because they cut out Brando anyway, so...
Yeah, there was even a shot of his hand that they changed because they just didn't want anything where he could claim his salary.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are they basically dressed in tinfoil?
Yeah, that's what it is.
No,
like.
actually, if you were on set with them and they turned to normal lighting, what they're wearing is actually just kind of a normal dull colour. The lighting is doing that.
Oh, wow.
No, I think that's a really good effect. I do like that a lot.
Yeah,
but the problem was, if you even touched it, the bit you touched wouldn't be reflective.
Yeah, wouldn't be
it's like thousands of little kind of balls, tiny little balls, reflective.
No, it's really clever technology.
I think they said it was something like it's like almost like the same stuff they made cinema screens out of.
Yeah.
Do you know this craft is more elegant than a load of penises chasing a baseball, isn't it? I could not believe when I watched Man of Steel how that got past the designers.
Dear oh dear.
Because basically Zod and his mates get imprisoned in big cocks whilst Kal-El is racing ahead in what looks like an oversized baseball.
Zack Snyder. Sorry, visionary director Zack Snyder.
Visionary. I am.
Have it rain a bit and put everyone in like rubber. Yeah, fucking brilliant. They did look like cocks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, half of me thinks it was intentional.
Yeah.
It's interesting that this is kind of a normal disaster, whereas you look in kind of other interpretations like Man of Steel, where it's all because of war.
Man of Steel, they've kind of overly fracked, haven't they?
Yeah.
More or less. That's a simplistic way of saying it, but they've sort of depleted by continually sort of mining and fracking and stuff like that. Here, I think it's a shifting of orbit, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the official, like, original comic book version? Is it just the planet's just dying flat out, or
It was just like the planet exploded.
yeah?
There wasn't any kind of...
I hate it when that happens.
How annoying. What a minor inconvenience.
I mean, Man of Steel had all sorts of other overtones where I think they thought they were trying to be clever, like a planned society where you were born and engineered into a role and things like that.
Yeah.
This has none of this. It's a bit clipped and formal. And I think they find it very difficult to say what they mean to each other. Hence, when he really speaks out, even politely, they're kind of appalled. But it's a normal, humane, advanced society. Whereas Man of Steel is actually a bit of a fucking abomination of a society.
It's an abomination, full stop.
Abomination.
I'm nowhere near as tough on it as you, and I've got massive problems with it. I mean, I could write a really fucking nasty review of that film, but I could write a reasonably kind one as well. On balance, I just think it's okay. But there's an awful lot with it that's very, very wrong, and I think their conception of Kryptonian society, given they're meant to be advanced, and he's meant to be sent to show us the way, I didn't like very much.
Because he is Jesus after all.
What wasn't the idea that they did lose their way, so it wasn't like how it should be. So it was...
Well, I mean, at least Jor-El was kind of enlightened of all of them, because Kal-El is natural born. So, I mean, it's all defensible, and I did like the design as something a bit different. Because you can't, as much as we might want it, you can't keep reimagining just the Donna version. That's what Superman Returns did.
Yeah.
So there are going to be different takes, and they won't always be to our taste. And I do think there are people out there who took against Man of Steel immediately because it wasn't Christopher Reeve with the Underoos and the crystals and all of the touchstones they'd grown up with. Now, that doesn't mean the film doesn't have major problems, but I think it was already onto a little bit of a loser because people were so in love with this interpretation.
Absolutely. And it was kind of the same with Michael Keaton. And when they did the kind of new Batman films, well, as soon as Michael Keaton left, it was kind of...
Mind you, when you think Batman to Batman and Robin is like 8 years, it's like Rocky to Rocky 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, fucking hell, look at what they've done in that time. You think there'd be a door they could open, wouldn't you? He's just gone through the roof in our version. It's just like, couldn't they have flown him out there? There's a window there. Just open that. just gently lift him out the window.
The planet is dissolving anyway, so you know.
That's a really great shot of it.
Down on them, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting shot right there.
I'm not sure why Kal-El's like running away, because it's like we got to get to safety. Like where?
Where are you going to go?
I always said that about the end of Skyfall, where Bond races into Sabre so she can be in agony for another 2 minutes. At the end, it's a bit like that here. It's like, just fucking get speared now and get it over with. Oh no, the orb's dropping.
Dun, dun.
In the 3-hour TV cut, This goes on for ages.
Yeah. They probably stop for tea, don't they?
They just put the same stuff but on loop, like.
Oh no!
They don't know you've seen it before.
Yeah, for 3 hours. It's kind of traumatic, and actually looking at it, practical effects were so expensive within a budget here. This is money just being spunked out the window here. In terms of the film's budget, this section must be very, very expensive. I know some of it is smoke and mirrors because you're just flipping cameras around and it's bits of models and all the rest of it. There's a lot of compositing work going on here and a lot of debris and. So actually, it looks like the sun went up there as well.
Yes, it's funny that you can kind of look at the difference in these kind of things and then kind of stuff where they didn't have this kind of budget. Like, I mean, you were talking about films coming out in the cinema over here earlier, TV stuff, because the same year Battlestar Galactica came out, the pilot episode of that, and you watch that, and there's so much stock footage in there, and so much reuse of shots of the spaceships and all that, that you can see how strange it is budget-wise compared to things like this, and obviously Star Wars.
Star Wars is still a minor miracle. I suppose it's because he kind of owned Industrial Light and Magic, but even the budget they ended up doing it on was a fraction of things around it that looked nowhere near as good. Star Wars is just a marvel of how to use a budget. Because it was the gold standard of effects for years. It just was, probably until the early 90s. It's still really, really held up. And then you'd get Star Wars Trek films, particularly some of the cheaper ones like 5 and that, and you think all these years later and you still can't match how natural Star Wars looks or how real it looks. And we are just talking like motion control and backgrounds. It's not like expensive computer work and stuff. But,
I mean, well, 5 was kind of a bit of a unique case because
they got dodgy Ken's effects to do it.
Exactly, because ILM were already busy on a ton of films that year anyway. So it's like, okay, we're going to get this guy.
They couldn't even get like second or third choices, could they?
Yeah, because they were working on what? Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, and
Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I think
there would have been a lot of others. I can't really remember now. 1989, come on, we can all name 1989 films. There were loads of them. Batman had a reasonable effect, lots of practical effects and stuff.
Yeah.
License to Kill would have had. License to Kill would have, I mean, it's still a big action film with big set pieces to do and stuff like that.
Yeah. Life stunts.
Honeymoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to cut that bloke's heart out.
And make the big coke cutting machine.
Yeah, epic.
So I just love, how are they going to hide this? They've just noticed the mess that's made. They're going to pick that boy up. I just imagine Jonathan just gently trying to rake some grass over it and just going, no, that'll be all right. No one will notice.
Fine.
Pray silence. Superman's Willy.
Boink.
Such an impressive cock that it's going to need 2 pairs of pants when he grows up.
One for the inside, one for the outside.
Presumably, if they were making this now, they wouldn't try and de-age him to that.
No, de-age him so much to a baby.
the baby played by Henry Cavill.
This is the genius of this film, that where you have first Brando and then Glen Ford, and just this being the Glen Ford's first scene, and immediately he's that type of actor. Everyone kind of knew him at that time anyway.
Yeah.
And just the effect of casting an actor like that.
And not only that, you've got Brando, who is all airs and graces, so has almost got a regal fucking air to him, certainly in Hollywood lore. Yeah. And then you've got Glen Ford, who's also a respected big name, but he's much more everyman.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he's much more, Tom Hanks or something. But that said, Glenn Ford did play bad guys. He was the bad guy. He was the Russell Crowe role in the original 3:10 to Yuma. So he did play bad guys, but you immediately know he's landed right into decency.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Glenn Ford's only in like 3 scenes, 2 scenes, 3 scenes, 2. Yeah. Very efficient storytelling. We are told he's got a heart problem here.
Yeah.
He thinks, I've got lots of building work back to do at the farm. He can do it all. He's quite strong.
And you immediately tell what kind of person she is as well, because she's kind of falling in love with him straight away.
Yeah.
He's going to be nurtured probably more than he would have been on Krypton.
Yeah.
In its way, I suppose.
And that's what's really nice.
And here, this is what I'm talking about. Douglas Slocum. I've got the wrong guy.
Jeffrey Unsworth. Douglas
Slocum did the indie films with Spielberg. Sorry, he was Spielberg. So I meant Jeffrey Unsworth. All of his films have this slightly sepia, dreamlike quality to it.
Yeah,
I used to think it
soft focus.
Soft focus. I always thought it was to do with the film getting old, but it's not. Any restoration still keeps this quality on any of the films. It's very slightly overexposed. There's always almost slightly a touch too much light in all of them.
Yeah.
It's upbeat, it's optimistic, and it just gives you an instant nostalgia, whatever era you're looking at.
Yeah.
But for years I thought that was Christopher Reeve with a prosthetic nose on, because he's voicing it. He did revoice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Christopher Reeve's voice.
But no, it's actual Boyton wig.
And that was that Lois Lane in the extended cut?
No. This was always Lana Lang, but in a minute he's going to go racing past that train.
Yeah.
And it cuts to on the train, and you've got Kirk Allen, who was the serial Superman, along with Noah Neal, wasn't it? It was Noah Neal, who was in a couple of incarnations. He was in one of the serials, and she was also in the second series onwards, or season onwards, of the George Reeves Superman show as Lois Lane. And they're on the train as parents to a young girl who is Lois Lane. We're not told that, but it's like an Easter egg. I know they do say
no.
Lois.
He does. He says Lois, read your stories or read your book.
That's right. I saw a man running or something like that, but that's in this version.
Yeah, because she says, Lois Lane, you have a talent for making things up or something, or imagination.
There's a little shot there, but that's it. They make more of it. Oh, hang on. Oh, it is here. It's here on the version I'm looking at. No, sorry. It cuts away from it. That's long.
Yeah.
You don't get who that is there on the longer version. Yeah, she gets told off and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Lois, which kind of doesn't make sense in some respects because Margot Kidder's older than Christopher Reeve.
Absolutely,
so that's kind of between them there.
Yeah.
Margot Kidder was about 30, 31, something like that when this film came out. Christopher Reeve was about 26 when the film came out, filming like 24 and 29, something like that. Christopher Reeve would only be 66 now. He's been gone so long as well.
Yeah, because Margot Kidder was still relatively well known compared to Reeve.
Yeah, it was. What was she in?
She was in Black Christmas.
Black Christmas. That's it. That's exactly what I was looking for.
That's a good film.
Yeah, she was in, which is considered like one of the first slasher films.
Yeah.
Fucking brutal that film.
She was in a film called Sisters the year before as well, which was a Brighton De Palma film.
Wasn't she in the Amityville Horror?
Yeah, that was a year after this.
Okay, so yeah, she didn't have fame off the back of something she hadn't made yet.
Yeah.
Being a bit of a twat there, son, aren't you?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Fuck off, Dad.
See, this scene is just, again, I don't want to keep going on about Man of Steel, but the difference between that Jonathan Kent.
I think that actually the differences between them would have been more subtle if the dialogue wasn't so ham-fisted. I think the problem is because I thought, as soon as I heard Kevin Costner was cast, I thought perfect.
Yeah.
I thought that's perfect. And I think that the basic lesson is supposed to be from both of them. You're destined for something a bit more, but we're not quite sure what it is yet, and you can't just go showing your powers around. Even what they add in the Snyder version is whatever the consequences there, he's showing his powers to show off. In the Snyder version, he's showing his powers to save somebody.
Save people.
So when he says here, don't show those powers, he's saying don't show off.
Yeah.
When the other Jonathan Kent's saying it, the upshot would be, but he would have died. They're effectively sort of saying the same things, but they've put that Kal-El in the wrong environment to have Jonathan say it to him, because he's literally just saved a life. I can sort of defend it, but they wrote themselves into a little bit of a corner there. What they were trying to get across from Jonathan in that film was the same sense of not just showing your powers all the time and showing off and showing the world who you are.
Oh yeah, but it's when he says,
handled as well as it should.
Should I have let them die? And it's kind of,
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, and there's.
I think what they were going for was more sense of like he has to figure it out himself. I can't just say do this with your powers. It's more of a case of you have to do this yourself, and it's more about he had faith in him, but they don't really do it.
Then he lets himself die because of the dog.
Yeah, I'm not saying they do it particularly well, but I think that's what they were trying to do.
I think the heart's in the right place. The execution's poor in both cases. I think the general point with John, because the thing is, Jonathan Kent's like a simple man from a farm. Yeah. He's not that I'm calling farmers simple, but I just mean he doesn't necessarily have all the answers. He's raised a decent son.
I guess.
But when the question becomes, do I go and sort of save the world and show who I am? The sort of version from Costner is almost like, well, I don't really know. And you think, well, he wouldn't know. There's no frame of reference for this.
No, but I guess it's looking at where you look at this film and you look at Brando and you look at Glen Ford, and they're them being very, very strong role models on who Clark, obviously not just Superman, Clark, becomes. And certainly that's referenced in the final act, where he goes off to do his thing, and he sees him in kind of replay it in the clouds. Yes. Whereas in Man of Steel, I don't feel that either of those characters there.
Well, I wouldn't have cast Russell Crowe because I like Russell Crowe as an actor, but he comes with a little bit of baggage to be Jor-El.
Mm.
I think they were going for a bit more of an aging action man in that he comes from, big, strong, lantern-jawed heroes, But, I mean, Brando's private life was actually a mess, but obviously the press wasn't then what it is now.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I think both of them should almost be purer than pure.
Yeah, I mean, even just taking into account the way they play the characters on the screen, even not necessarily even with it is Glen Ford being Glen Ford and private life and stuff like that, but just the way they come across on the screen as the two halves of Clark and of Superman, and how that is resolved in the final act compared to where you see Henry Cavill's Superman, and you don't. To me, there's nothing that says there that he is the son of these two people.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Which is another of the beauty of this film.
I'm not going to argue this isn't a better film, Charlie, by any means.
Oh no,
I will defend Man of Steel to a point when we get there. I'm not in the hate camp, but I have to say there were parts on first viewing I was going, oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that. And at all that mindless destruction near the end, and when the sort of cloud sort of cleared, and there was still him and Zod to fight, I was like, oh shit, we got another 10 minutes of this. And you shouldn't feel like that in a Superman film. Like, oh god, we got another 10 minutes of this. It should be thrilling, and it wasn't. It was numbing. And that's because Snyder has got no sense of like proper pacing, storytelling, and he's got that more is more attitude that like if I throw ever more destruction at it, it will be ever more thrilling. and it isn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just as a check for those on faster versions of this, Clark is now in the barn just lifting the blanket off to find the green crystal just after his father's funeral. It's calling to him, which I like as well. I like the idea of a destiny that reveals itself to him.
It's kind of like his dad calling to him after his other dad has just died.
I've never thought of that. There could be
Yeah,
something to that there's a hole there now.
Mm.
But I like that's been done well in the two subsequent versions as well, in that his powers sort of switching on slowly, and suddenly they'll leap forward a bit and he can't handle it. You know, that's quite well done in Man of Steel, where he suddenly starts being able to see through things and it freaks him out as a youngish boy. This is some of the best music in the film.
Yeah.
I actually love this when she goes out to speak to him in a moment, and the camera pans up and away, and I could almost cry at that music. It's so beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the amount of themes in this film that it has that in any other film would be a perfectly fine main theme.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even the main titles are made up of 3 different themes anyway.
Yeah.
And then you've got because you've got the main theme, and then you've got the fanfare, and then you've got Lois's theme, or the love theme.
I love the
Krypton theme.
Krypton is probably my favourite. I love it.
The Smallville theme, and then there's the March, the villains theme that they have.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just amazing work.
Yeah, I can just think of the Otis theme.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of...
Which always sounds like he's like, I don't know, farting or something as he's walking along. Because he's got this sort of slightly lumbering walk as well. You went... It's just kind of... Yeah. It's a really ungainly music, deliberately, because he is.
Absolutely, yeah. And
it's beautiful.
Again, the way the different acts of the film and the different settings are kind of established musically, because you think of the Krypton theme is very, very elegant.
Mm. It's cold and distancing, but beautiful. It's there to be admired.
Yeah, there's a real kind of stately feel to it.
Yeah. And they talk about it, it's mirrored in the visuals as well. And the speech patterns, they said that the first act, they were going for sort of clipped.
Yeah.
Almost, I know a lot of them Americans, but they were going for like a clipped, almost British, the stereotype of British, clip. And then the second act, they were saying they were going for like a Norman Rockwell feel and a lot of G's and gollies in the language. Yeah. And then the third act, it isn't quite split like this, but like the third section, it's not the third act. But the third section of the film would then be modern American city, and a lot harsher and a lot more streetwise in its language, and it really does it does everything it's trying to do. But this music here is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
I haven't got it switched on, but I can hear it in my head.
It's a really heart-wrenching scene, isn't it?
I got it very low. Mm. It's a beautiful shot as well. It
is a beautiful shot. So he's now heading north. Again, just to keep people who are on different formats. We've got sweeping shots of ice and snow.
So presumably this is around Alaska, or is this Canada?
I've never known where it was. I've always assumed it's in sort of continuous mainland, in that it has to be, because he basically just you get that in Superman 2, where he sort of has to almost hitchhike back there.
Yeah,
it's not like the Arctic somewhere. It isn't. But it's very, very north. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know is the honest answer. And I've never really sought an answer. He says he's going north and he's gone to a colder climate. It's got to be somewhere fairly isolated. Because he hasn't even sought planning permission for this.
Just erected it.
Council turns up in Superman 2 and makes him take it down.
Excuse me. Hold on, this is my call.
Or just lower the roof so neighbours don't have their view interrupted.
City Council.
What this film sells better as well is just a feeling of destiny, but a feeling you don't understand.
Yeah.
He doesn't really know what he's doing here, but there's an instinct or that crystal advanced technology is telling him to do something.
Well, it's a journey to find out what that is really, to what his destiny is, or what he's supposed to do.
Well, he's got 12 years at Space University rather than a 2-minute chat with Russell Crowe. Rather than stick on this outfit and have a go.
That's a good throw.
That's a really good throw.
Yeah.
You could all throw like that.
Obviously a different John Barry, but the production designer on this, John Barry,
Yeah.
died at about 43, didn't make it to much of an age. Got a feeling it might have been meningitis or something like that, but he did a lot of good stuff very quickly.
Yeah, he died while he was making Empire Strikes Back.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, this looks great. It's just, I mean, you'll see it later on in the third act as well, where, and it's something that always made me, I always find interesting as well. Thunderbirds is miniature water and miniatures.
Yeah.
And I mean, I mean, obviously, I guess they really shoot it at a really kind of.
You have the film go through the camera a lot faster, so when you play it back at a normal pace, everything just moves at a reduced speed.
Yeah, it goes at a higher rate.
Yeah, they used to do that. Well, they did. In fact, I saw it on an extra for Team America where they've got to do an explosion and stuff.
Yeah, that's how they did it. Exactly how they did it.
Yeah.
And they did something similar for
Yeah.
the new series, Firestorm.
Just to mention, John Barry was also the production designer on A Clockwork Orange, which is one of the most unique-looking films you'll ever see. And it sounds obvious. I mean, who wouldn't recommend, like Kubrick, to at least investigate whether you get on it or not? But statistically, somebody listening hasn't seen A Clockwork Orange and seriously get on it.
Well, you must read it and also see the film.
But apparently, he was hired as well before that for the Napoleon film that Kubrick was going to make.
Right.
That he never made. But yeah, he died from meningitis.
Right.
On the 1st of June 1979. So it was 2 weeks into filming Empire Strikes Back, and he was actually second unit director on that one as well.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a career that would have gone on to other things. Because he clearly, if he came from production design, he had quite a visual style.
Yeah.
And obviously, he'd worked under some high quality people, so there's every expectation he would have gone on and made a pretty solid director.
Yeah, because
he had contacts as well.
Yeah, because he started making the film Saturn III.
I've seen Saturn III. That's Kirk Douglas and
Kirk Douglas, Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, and
he's
Harvey Keitel.
Harvey Keitel's in it as well.
That's right.
And that was his directorial debut, but he got kind of fired off the film because he had a dispute with Kirk Douglas apparently, and he was replaced.
The end result's not very good.
Oh, it's terrible.
You see Farrah Fawcett's tits, if that's of any interest, but no, it's not a very good film.
An awful robot, Hector, but again, it was kind of something because he couldn't get a budget for it either, a very good budget for it, and then it just kind of he got kicked off it, sadly. But it turned out to be shit.
Yeah, quite
Do we
good.
want to hear how that turned out?
I remember watching it ages ago, but I can't remember too much. But it's basically just like, we're in space, and a guy who has a robot slave.
Do you know, as what you've got Kirk Douglas in a relationship with Farrah Fawcett. Now, lots of people out there have age gaps in their relationships, and that's their business. But it was a bit like watching Sean Connery with Catherine Zeta-Jones. It was just like, I know he's a legend, but he's too old for that role now, or she's too young.
Yeah.
You need to, and they had no chemistry as a result. There are exceptions out there. There are people who are 60 married to 30-year-olds, and it works, and good luck to them. But most of the time, when you stick that on the screen, it looks ridiculous, and it really does in that film.
Didn't he? Didn't the robot fall in love with her? Or something weird like that.
I'd love to say yes, just for the sake of the conversation, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Probably.
Most of these effects were sort of done in water that we're seeing now. Space University. And again, if this was an Orsi and Kurtzman script, they'd have explained every minute of this, but we don't know if it's 12 years, if they're literally outside of sort of the rules of space-time, or whether this is a representation of the fact that he spends 12 years up there sort of studying one way or another. Because it's not surely a 2-minute conversation that actually takes 12 years. So, but we don't need to know.
There you go. Apparently, Harvey Keitel's character has something implanted in his spine to connect him to the robot, and then the robot kind of gets his personality and his lust for, of course, its character,
Right.
and goes on a murderous rampage.
That rings a bell now. That bit,
Yeah.
When you put it like that, I sort of remember that.
I love this bit with the way his face kind of turns to ice, and also the speech.
I'm not quite at that yet. I'm at to just always hold in your heart the pride of special heritage.
Oh yeah, no, it's just because
his face is just starting to fade back.
Yeah,
now.
And they can be great people they wish to be.
I love that. I tell you what, for whatever you think of the end film, the teaser trailer for Superman Returns is absolutely electric on that basis. I sent them you my only son. You could almost cry at that. We're being manipulated. We are, but it just works.
Oh yeah.
Now this, as he takes off, when he banks his body, Mankiewicz said that was not in the plan at all. He did it almost kind of ad-libbed, banking his body like that there.
Yeah.
Born to play the role. Trained by Darth Vader.
The one and only.
You haven't heard his theme yet either.
The if you watch this film carefully, Christopher Reeve's size varies in it quite dramatically. Some of his shots as Superman, he's still on the slim side, and then sort of, I don't know that they shot it bang on chronologically, but certainly late in the film, he's buffed up to the sort of size we think of Christopher Reeve, and that was because basically he was very thin. Go and watch the screen tests.
That's the fruit and veg stand that's in the Donna cut.
Yeah, because they would have cut. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
she lands in.
corner.
Yes, I've just got you. That's fruit, folks. I don't want to make any fun of her, but so I say this with no sort of pejorative way at all. But it was very sad to see how she physically declined after this film. Yeah, she's not a stunning beauty, but I like that. I like the fact that she's just a person. She falls for the person, not like a supermodel. But she has a natural sort of radiance here, and it's all gone in the sequel. Some of that is the lack of Jeffrey Unsworth and the way he lit her, but some of it is when you go and watch the Leicester cut of 2, there's a lot of shots where she's very, very sort of sallow in the cheeks. She went very thin and skeletal, and it just all the light went out of her. And then by the 3rd and 4th one, I think she'd had a mixture of drug problems and dental problems and things like that, and she just looks horrible. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame. Her decline was quite quick, and of course her death was eventually ruled a suicide. This woman lived in pain for a lot of her life.
I like this, because going into it, you'd expect it to just break off. But he keeps up the. You expect
Keeps
sort of
up the
like
pretense.
you expect like sort of like the whole bottle to break or something, but
no.
yeah, he
He uses it for somewhat of a premature ejaculation joke, let's be honest. I'm sorry, this never happens.
Yeah, out the two films, you think of which Superman film would have a premature ejaculation joke? You would think. Oh,
They cut to the outside of the hotel in Canada, and she's just blasted out the window. Yeah. I mean, if I can pay her one tribute, it's the fact that I can't really see anyone as Lois Lane now.
No.
And I think Amy Adams is the best actress of a generation, and I mean that unreservedly. But she's not Lois Lane.
to be fair, she wasn't given the best.
No, it's not
Yeah, she
necessarily
didn't
her
have a lot
fault.
to do.
But, you know, the funny thing is I bought a new Superman faster than I bought a new Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Mm. No, she did the best she could with what she had.
See the logic, because there's an awful lot of incarnations of Lois when she's kind of a redhead anyway. She's more worldly than Clark, so it kind of makes sense to cast the actress very slightly older anyway, which Amy Adams is.
Plus,
she's
being a
one of
journalist
the-
as well, she's most likely seen it all.
I've seen everything.
Been there, done that. Literally seen everything.
Even before he could get his second pair of pants off. I've seen everything.
I like the physical attributes of Christopher Reeve as well. Obviously, like the way he conducts himself is different for Clark Kent and Superman. Obviously, he creates a whole persona for himself, but just like the little attributes like that, for example.
That's never been there before, and Cavill didn't even bother.
No, I didn't. I must say that the
they just tend to
various
stick on the
iterations
Yeah.
of
Brandon
Superman
Routh did,
since.
but that's because that was a Donner film.
Yeah,
Really.
it's not something I ever noticed really, like a small bit, or as I say, various iterations of the role since.
Yeah, that might have been Tom Welling was the worst actor of all time.
But then obviously it was more concerned with obviously growing up
Dean
as a teen.
Well,
yeah.
no, I never
Okay,
watched
maybe.
Lois. I never watched Lois and Clark. To be
I
fair,
loved that growing up in the
It looked
90s. That was
shite.
great.
Well, it might have been brilliant. I can't critique.
Terry
something
Hatcher,
Lois.
come on.
You can see a reflection of Donna there in the. I can't stick Terry Hatcher. She's like Catherine.
It was
Zeta-Jones,
bad,
with
but it was
fundamentally unlikable screen presence.
so cheesy, so cheesy.
But I watched a couple of episodes of Smallville, and Tom Welling just has a zero screen presence at
Yeah,
all.
a bit of a. Because I
when
thought
they're
his
saying,
career
like,
was going to take off
They
afterwards.
should have
but
made.
nope.
They should have made a film with him. It's like, Christ, if he can't command a TV screen, he'll be fucked on a
Yeah,
cinema.
he can't. Yeah, he can't do it in the film.
So no.
And where's Dean Cain now? And Terry Hatcher was a Bond girl, so
Dean Cain was making a lot of direct-to-DVD shit for a while.
Yeah.
no, he's still making films. So
Oh yeah, but
yeah, it's a shame no other actors kind of really took that cue from Reeves and kind of made it their own. But oh well.
As I say, Brandon Routh did like kind of an impression of it, so his Clark was very like this Clark.
Hmm.
The problem with the Routh version is they gave him very, very, very little dialogue as Superman. He didn't say much in the outfit at all.
yeah.
There it is again. You'll see it most when you've got the interview scene later, but again, that soft focus kind of look to it's lovely. And I love that as well.
We plays the Lois. What are you doing?
Yeah. I fainted. Yeah, it's just brilliant.
And again, musically here you hear her the love theme briefly for her, and then when she turns her back and he looks at the bullet, you hear kind of a snippet of the fanfare.
Fanfare, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not until the helicopter scene that you actually hear his actual theme.
Yeah. What I love as well is just those little touches are easy to miss. You write a load of themes and then just score the film, but there's a little bit of nuance. You know, this bit of the film would be suited to just a little hint of this and a little
Absolutely.
hint of that. So engaged in the score, and you can feel Williams enjoyed this.
Yeah. Oh, certainly.
Some lovely set design in this. Again, we're talking about John Barry. I really like Anita's lair. It's really nice. If this was a Marvel property, that blind guy would be the Stan Lee cameo.
Stanley.
Yeah, it would be. That is a Stanley cameo there.
Yeah.
Bless his soul.
I thought Stanley would have been the mugger.
Or he catches him. You got me. Who's got you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, oh shit, one person just drops him and catch Lois.
The key difference between Donna and Lester is Donna wasn't a yes man. So when you go to the sequel,
It's Grand Central Station.
you've got that scene in Paris where it's lightly raining. So Lois is talking to like a gendarme and his shirt's very slowly getting wet, and you think Donna would have waited. He would have shot it a bit later in the day, or actually even canned like a day's filming. Whereas Lester was was being put under pressure to just get it shot, and he was going, yeah, whatever. And it shows in the end result. This film has so much care. Well, I must say this scene could have used a trim.
It's quite a brutal death, though.
Yeah, it is. Still, the one plot I'm all for shared universes. That's fine, but at least this film isn't looking at the camera and winking and saying Justice League every 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's unencumbered. It's only got to tell its own story.
Excuse me.
Wonder how much work it will take to construct all that.
Well, he does have 2 staff.
And they don't seem like the type of people who do a lot of manual work, like a lot of building. But maybe I'm wrong.
You get the feeling that he swindled someone out of it.
He did. There's quite a rattling on someone's end there.
Sorry.
Don't worry, it's okay. Just I'll point it out rather than have it on the whole recording.
Yeah, he could have done a Bond villain thing of about to pay him off and then just throw him under a train, literally.
Yeah, all that fucking fuss in Spy Who Loved Me for
The
that.
funerals were at sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've just been. You could have just dropped them into the shark pit. Why did you blow up a perfectly good helicopter?
But it's also it's the point of like I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna kill my secretary right in front of you.
Oh no. It might be on some technical level better, but I'm sorry, fucking Moonraker's more entertaining than The Spy Who Loved Me.
You said it.
I actually feel sorry for the pilot. What the fuck did he do? Like,
Oh.
At least it wasn't Caroline Munro.
Yeah. All those feathers and she still can't fly.
Yay.
Oh.
I think Becca made the point in a roundabout way in the original review of this that her tits get less prominent as she turns a better character. So So,
Well, she starts off really slutty, and then as she kind of turns to the good side...
Well, yeah, she starts wearing, like, black, and then she's, like, in a white angelic...
moves to lighter colours. So
she's like, look at these. And by the end, she's like Miss Chunky Knitwear. Or something.
Miss Chunky Knitwear, 1982.
And in the second film, she's only ever wearing, like, a big duffel coat, really.
Russian hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wrapped up with a scarf. Well, no, it's just an old trope, isn't it? Like, if you're an evil character, you wear black or dark colours, and then you turn to the side of righteousness.
That evil, that trope where if you're evil, you've got quite nice tits. I mean, Hitler, what a rat. I've written to Saddam tonight. I've told him, show us your tits.
Well, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah. I love the little story about the moustache.
Yeah.
With Gene Hackman. He had a moustache at the time they were putting this film together, and he wanted to play it with the moustache. And Donner really didn't want this. He just could not conceive of a version of Luther where he had a moustache. So they'd only spoken on the phone. So he was so insistent. He said to him, I'll tell you what, Donner said. He said, if you shave yours off, I'll shave mine. Donner didn't have a moustache. When they met in person, Donner's got this moustache, and he says, Hackman says to him angrily, you didn't shave yours off, and he went, okay, and just peeled it off. He had a fake one put on.
You say, I moustache you to shave off your moustache.
Yeah.
That could go either way. You could have really soured the production of that.
Yeah. Hackman in later years had a reputation for being quite difficult to work with. He had a reputation for being quite intimidating to other actors and stuff, and not always overly friendly.
You can kind of see that in his roles, though. He has that kind of presence of
something like the Royal Tenenbaums and stuff. Yeah. Apparently, they fucking hated him on the set. I've heard. Truth of that, I don't know.
But he is a really good. What I really like about the stuff with Luther in this film is you do get to see his intelligence at play. He does just figure stuff out.
Yeah, he hires such good people as well.
Yeah. So I think for him, so it's just literally just a sort of for his ego, really.
Vanity, yeah.
Yeah.
I like this newsroom.
It's like I don't want to work with people who's potentially smarter than me. So it's like.
I've always liked the feel and lighting of that newsroom, but again, it's Jeffrey Unsworth. Look at the sort of radiance coming off the lights off the ceiling. It's what I always expect sort of newsrooms in these sort of 70s things to look like.
Yeah, this proper like old-fashioned.
I love that he has to pretend he didn't know. Oh, I didn't know. I wasn't hoping to see anything, honest.
It's not like I have X-ray vision.
If we missed the bit where he accidentally grabbed a minge, there is a bit in this film. There was a. If you listen to the podcast Hollywood Babylon, there's a bit where they've got called shit that should not be, but because it's an audio podcast of a live show, you don't normally see what that shit that should not be was.
I think they post it on a website somewhere.
They had, yeah, no, I could find it. It wouldn't be a big problem. But one of the weeks they had it, it was Superman, and it is where I think it might be where he's first introduced to her. I think we've probably got past that point, and he goes over to her, and you can see it. You can see objectively it's a complete accident. They get a bit tangled up in each other, the two actors, but it's in the final cut that his hand gets directed towards her crotch area. And she momentarily pauses, gives him a slightly dirty look, and then they carry on with the scene. But it's in the final cut, Christopher Reeve accidentally grabbing Muff. Just a reminder, this is a tribute to the late Margot Kidder. Yeah, she is in her Heidi Eye outfit.
Hi, campers.
Yeah, she's in a yellow coat.
Oh dear.
You know what? I can't remember who's in that. Who starred in that sitcom?
Paul McShane.
That was it. Yeah.
Sue
Ruth
Pollard,
Maddock.
Ruth Maddock, Simon Callow.
Really?
Yeah.
No, Simon Cowell.
Cadell.
I was going to say. Hold on a minute. That's
Not
not
Simon Callow. I knew who I meant. I was picturing the right guy. I just gave his gig to someone else. Simon Cadell, I meant, yeah. This is genuinely quite traumatic, the way it's shot.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
quite traumatic, isn't it?
Well, she sounds fucking terrified, doesn't she?
It's kind of like if you took this scene before Superman saves her and you put it into Donna's early film, The Omen, it would fit perfectly.
Oh, yes.
Ah.
And obviously put
Yeah,
the
it's something
Omen,
Damien's made happen, yeah.
yeah, the Omen music over it, and
See, you got the gig after The Omen, or
Yeah.
off the strength of The Omen, which is
Well, yeah.
unusual, but a really great choice.
Yeah, we think about Donna's got a really varied filmography, hasn't he? You know, he's got this, got Omen, got all Lethal Weapons.
Yeah, because there's an austerity to The Omen, and then you think he's gone and done one of the ultimate fucking buddy films after that.
yeah. And he's made stuff like Scrooge and things like that.
Yeah, Scrooged, Goonies as well.
More on that next week, listeners.
Hey, guys.
For Christmas commentary this year.
Oh.
The Goonies.
Yeah, it's Scrooge.
Yeah, Scrooge, not Goonies.
Yeah, that's a controversial take for me. I don't think the Goonies is that good.
I don't think it's a good film at all. I think it's 100% nostalgia.
It's good fun though, but it's one of those ones that's really, really
I
cheesy.
fucking hated it. That pissing in each other's faces joke was
Oh,
fun,
that's a bit.
and that was it.
It's not funny.
That was the only funny bit of the film. The rest of it was unbearable.
I think it's just really tonally off for some reason. It just I don't know.
And I don't care what kids are up to. I don't give a shit what 10-year-olds are doing. In film, I mean in life, it's like, yeah, meet my Sunday. Fuck off. No, I'm not. I don't mean that. But, you know, there's nothing aspirational when you're 10 about watching films with other 10-year-olds in it. I'd rather watch like Back to the Future, where he's at least like notionally 17 or whatever. You aspire to being like a grown-up when you're that age, and they're all really, really fucking irritating in it. Flat out a bad film. But this is great, and he's quite relaxed about seeing a bloke fly there, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh,
Woo!
Joe.
I just love how the first person like Superman encounters in the public is a pimp.
Didn't see an opportunity to make a bit of money or anything, did he?
But he flew before he got a chance. He was like,
Yeah. The way she says he got her, I like.
It's a classic line.
I always cringe when in these type of films where it's in front of view of like an audience and they all like applaud.
There's something
It's like, cringe.
cheesy about that, yeah.
I mean,
That's not
cheesy.
too badly done, though.
oh yeah, this is probably one of the. I mean, I think the worst offender for me is Superman 3, but Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
We have it narrated. By, yeah, it's really
yeah.
Oh
bad.
god, that's terrible.
but
A bad film,
yeah,
to be
I
honest.
think what annoys me, particularly, I mean, if he was like already well known, then fine, that would be a common thing for everyone. Yay, Superman's here. But this is like his first thing. Everyone would be like, "What the fuck's going on? I don't understand."
Well, they are.
Well, they're kind of cheering, though. You know what I mean? It's like, yay! I mean, I guess, but it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't.
I mean, they're probably in shock, to be honest with you. But
Possibly.
It's performance art. Live theatre's got so much bigger budgets these days. Yeah, Jeffrey Unsworth shoots night scenes so well.
This is Tom Cruise preparing for Mission Impossible.
It is pretty much a bit like that.
What in Flying Away? What are you on about?
No, the burglar.
are you,
I'm at the burglar bit, sorry.
Okay. Right, he's just flown off from Lois, and that's where we are. And now the guy is climbing the wall on the outside of the building. That's where we are. He's about to climb past that bloke they glued to like the ceiling in order to get the shot.
Just like did in that Batman TV show.
Yeah, I just love the fact that you couldn't cast me because like there's too much flab. If you stuck me against the ceiling and tried to sell it was the right way up, you'd wonder why all my flab was up around my ears.
I like how like after you just be like the burglar's just sat there like as if to say like, oh, okay, well I guess I'm being arrested now. All right.
Yeah, right. Soups is just flying down to catch him.
Yeah.
As he was climbing the wall. That's where we are. Yeah. That guy there. Nah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he was glued sort of sideways onto a wall or something.
It's a good effect though.
It's very cleverly done.
I'd listen to this guy. He's stolen like some really tacky looking jewellery. I mean, I'd arrest him for his taste more than anything else.
Arrest him for his poor taste in death.
This is very typical for what followed in superhero films, weren't they? The first night you're active,
Yeah.
you go
The
insolvent,
montage.
you go in, your montage of your first few.
Gotta do it in a montage. There's a song about that.
Yeah, there is.
Well, it's a way
What
to
song?
kind of like, you know, do all the good deeds and like do it all in one night, and then it's, you have to like keep on doing it constantly.
We find out he only works once a week. Just
Very high salary.
Book me in for Monday.
Got busy the rest of the week.
To be fair, Man of Steel missed a scene like this.
Yeah, that's the problem, you know. When they decided that they wanted to sort of portray the memory of Superman as heroic through some of the dialogue in sort of Suicide Squad and Justice League, they started talking to him about, you know, he showed us the best side of ourselves and all that. And I'm thinking, where did he do that? I can defend the portrayal of him quite easily, but don't retcon it that he was like a worldwide fucking hero. He wasn't around long enough for that. And his actions in the first film didn't portray that.
Oh, you're gonna have to proper Looney Tunes. Doing. Sorry.
Or he pulls the face he pulls as well. He looked a bit like Ben Stiller in a wig then.
Oh god.
Oh,
You know, when he's doing-
he looks like Ben Stiller in Dodgeball, the guy with the crowbar.
Yeah. Hey, that Lance Armstrong
Fuck you, Chuck Norris.
cameo wasn't dated at all, is it?
I mean, that's fair. That's a bit unnecessary, bringing the whole ship and landing it in front of the fucking middle of the city. Someone's got to clear that shit up now.
Maybe he's hoping the honeys will see it and like it. But I get some ladies out of this. They'll see me and go, "Ooh, look how strong." They did to do some color correction on this in remasters and stuff, because there were a lot of shots where his suit did look a bit green. They didn't bother correcting it in later Superman films, but I like this though. It's cheesy, but I like it that they thought to put a scene of him saving a cat out of a tree, because Superman is for everyone. I mean, she's about to go in and have the shit kicked out of her for lying, but apart from that...
Yeah, who has time to rescue trees when you're breaking people's necks?
Yeah, but in his defence, there were about to be like 4 people killed, which would have taken the death count to about 5,004, but even so. Just fly. We're not quite at that line yet, but it's quite a bad delivered line. It's just the way to just
Yeah,
fly.
in general, that guy.
I don't know why he suddenly did that. He suddenly went, just fly.
Yeah, because
your voice wasn't that low a minute ago. What's happened? And how many pilots has one plane got there? I mean, it's Air Force One, isn't it? I think so. That might have something to do with it, but there's like 6 of them there. Or perhaps only like 2 of them are pilots and Trump's president. They can't stand being further back from the plane. Can we sit up here? We talk such shit. Just fly. There's so many actors would fluff that, wouldn't they? Just the absolute sincerity of it.
Yeah. The fact that he looks at his hand as if to say, "What the hell am I doing?"
Mm. Hey, I recognise that. One of the TV casters there I recognise from somewhere. The one on the right of the 2 was...
he's the manager in Ghostbusters, the hotel
Thank
manager.
you, yes, yeah.
Oh,
I've seen him in other things as well, but that's exactly what it is.
I wonder how clean that water is.
That was a bit of a cut in there because Richard Donner's cameo in the extended version.
Okay, go on.
Where you've got them watching it in the window, and you've got Clark Kent there, and you've got Richard Donner next to him, and he says that'll be the day when someone can fly.
That's in the director's cut version.
Yeah,
So I've seen that one, and I haven't seen the TV version, full long TV version. Yeah. Okay. But to return to Chris's point, I imagine that water is fucking foul.
it's a bit grim.
I wonder the thing with the robe is kind of ad-libbed.
Oh, what in the water and all that? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just like a bit of an ad-lib thing.
I don't know what their reputations as actors were in terms of ad-libbing, because some actors do a lot of it and others don't. I really don't know in this case.
It's not something that you typically would be in a script, is it? It's not something, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a beat you come up with on the day, but that doesn't necessarily mean the actors. But
True,
something
yeah, true.
I think we'll be talking about that a lot when we get to Mission Impossible and Fallout, because an awful lot of that film was sort of conceived on the set as they went along.
That's amazing, that, isn't it? The fact they did that.
Yeah.
But then the film, I think you can tell by the pace it just feels like a film that's constantly moving.
Yeah, well, as I say, I know it's a little bit off the point for what we're discussing here, but it's worth going ahead of our Mission Impossible series, which is a few months away yet, because we've still got a lot of Marvel to do. But it's worth listening to the Empire podcast specials with Christopher McQuarrie. They did 2 3-hour episodes with him. They got quite a lot of material out of him, just the whole thought process behind so much of the film and the themes and how they filmed it and the truth behind the stunt work and all the rest of it. Absolutely terrific stuff. But Fallout was much, much more... Improvised is the wrong word, but it was written as they went along, or rewritten at very least, to a far greater degree than the one he'd done before.
Yeah, he also did Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith for both films. The Rogue Nation is with actual Tom Cruise there as well. So,
okay.
They
What's that again? Just repeat that.
It's called the Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith.
Right, that's a podcast, is it?
Yeah, it's podcast. Yeah, it's connected to like an online magazine. I can't remember the title now, but it's quite
obviously
decent.
Anyone can search that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much recommend those Empire interviews anyway. And apparently he did something similar but not quite as long for Rogue Nation. So if you go back a bit further, which I will when we prep Rogue Nation, they'll be similar. And it's better than a DVD commentary because he's talking at even greater length.
Mm. Yeah, he goes into like what Tom Cruise actually did,
Yeah.
And it's quite
well,
funny.
I mean, if it's not true, it will be one of the greatest confidence tricks ever played on the sort of the general public. So I tend to believe it is true, and if it is true, then it is truly, truly extraordinary what that man puts himself through.
I mean, when you hear about it, it must be the most exhausting thing to work with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, because he's always on.
Yeah,
always. Simon Pegg was saying there was a point where he went off to do the helicopter stuff, and he said that line in the film where they say it's best not to think about it or best not to ask, that is kind of how they are, because they're always scared something's going to happen. And apparently a message came back saying we've lost Tom, and they momentarily thought he'd been killed. What they meant was they'd lost radio contact for a second. But yeah, got to come back to this now because this is one of my favourite scenes of the film. Don't think that's particularly controversial, but again, I keep on about it. Look at the lighting. Look at the lighting behind her. Look at the lighting on her eyes and the way they've made her up as well. This is just a sumptuously designed scene, shot by an absolute master. It never ever makes you think it's anything other than a set, but it doesn't matter. This was actually the scenes they used for like all the tests as well.
Yeah.
So they were testing actors doing this scene, particularly the bit where he comes down off the balcony and it's "Good evening, Miss Lane" and all that. And
yeah, because it was this in the scene in Superman 2 where she finds out his identity, or she proves his identity.
That's right, because they had to use that test footage in the Donna version.
Yeah, which was just really awkward.
It was, and it's the one reason that a Donna-made Superman 2 would have been a far, far better film, and the Donna cut has elements of greatness missing from the Lester cut. Unfortunately, I have to rank the Lester version ahead of it because it's a complete film. The Donna version's a curiosity.
Yeah. There was too much of them.
There's too many compromises.
Against.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a flavour though. What it would have been. You kind of get a sense of okay. You can kind of picture in your head, apart from the ending.
Yeah. Love how flustered she is here. The stock. Yeah. The test footage. You see versions with Leslie Ann Warren. You also see the second choice was Stockard Channing, and you see footage of her.
Russo.
Yeah.
She would have been good.
She would have been good. Apparently, she played it a little bit harsher.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
But if it's all we'd ever known, and even this Lois Lane is kind of like quite sparky. I nearly said spiky, but that imagines harsh, and I don't mean that. But there's a real spark to her that I could see Stockard Channing doing it. And I'm not impugning anyone's look, but this incarnation of Lois isn't meant to be a supermodel. So all of those ladies who are reasonably attractive in their own right would be absolutely fine.
Yeah, maybe they'd have thought of her different if Grease had been out by that time.
Yeah,
because
of
it
course.
was just before. Well,
Yeah,
I guess around the same.
Well, the production on this film was very long anyway.
Yeah.
So I would have thought Grease would have been shot after this, by and large, even though they were still shooting some of the flying scenes in second unit as late as September 78.
Yeah.
But the bulk of the shooting was kind of fairly early the previous year. Grease, I can't imagine it would have. She would have shot. Had she done both, Grease would have been after this.
Yeah.
Presuming no clashes, of course. She may not have been able to. But when you see the footage of Leslie Ann Warren in the scene, you go, yeah, that's how important casting this right is, because she wasn't right.
No.
She's way too soft. My favourite line though is the one where it says, "What a name? What, like Ralph or something?"
Like Ralph.
Of all the names to pick, you know what I mean?
It's Ralph. Still Ralph.
Journalists are quite well paid in Metropolis as well.
Yeah, Jesus, look at that.
That's a really nice apartment.
Yeah. Considering New York is standing in for it, can you imagine getting that in New York on a journalist's salary?
Those are doing quite well for
Penthouse
herself.
in the middle of the city.
Particularly, and it's Manhattan as well. You know?
And you've got a balcony, so that pushes it up too.
Another scene where we can all hear the music, literally or otherwise.
Yeah.
They're going to have a sing it, wouldn't they?
They were. The reason they didn't is she had a voice like a goose farting in the fog.
Well, yeah. Not quite the voice of an angel.
Funny. Apparently, yeah, you could have dubbed her, Chris, if you'd been around. Lazy bastard, not coming around to the.
Not being born at the time, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Curse you, Chris, for not being born.
You've got your parents to like accelerate their schedule. Yeah,
We'll just do Back to the Future and nip backwards in time.
The main reason she didn't do it is I think they tried it and she just wasn't a good enough singer. Which I think is a relief. Imagine they'd cast... Because, like, Stockard Channing can sing a bit.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they'd cast her? We would have had a scene of her singing. Almost certainly. Because I never got the impression off any of the special features that it suddenly occurred to them it was a bad idea. It was none of that. They just cast someone who wasn't a good enough singer.
I guess there's the only hope is that they would have shot it, tested it, and thought, "No, this doesn't work."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Maybe they would have had to cut all the sound, or they would have redubbed it, wouldn't they? Yes, of course they would have done it as ADR, which it was probably.
Or just recut it as
ADR
just
anyway.
like a pure musical thing.
Yeah. She should be hanging down with her shoulder hanging, coming out of its socket, but it's still lovely.
She'd be freezing her tits off.
Well, that seems to be a bit of a sort of thing that when they fly with him, they're like warm enough.
I bet they are.
Oh yeah, 'cause you got in Returns, haven't you? You got like, I forgot how warm you are.
In the fourth one, he seems to drop her for a laugh.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, fly by yourself. I love
But it's kind of done in the way it kind of implies that he does it on a regular basis as well.
Yeah, but he's hanging. She's sort of they're face to face now, kind of like in a dance position. And that was it reprised in sort of Superman Returns, and I like it. Now he's about to take her from behind. I don't know.
It just look a bit like that, doesn't it? Or like he's grabbing her boobs.
They couldn't put that in, could they? He was
No, Superman's getting a bit handy.
Yeah, just touching her up.
Can't resist my busy hands.
John Lovett, so I can place exactly where that was.
It's like Superman basically showing off, doing the thing his dad told him not to do.
Yeah, but he in his defence, he's on the cob.
He's wooing her. I wonder how many crimes are being committed and
He's trying to show
people
Bruce
being murdered, and he's just there like...
Yeah, but it'll be worth it, because he'll be a better crime fighter on other nights, because he'll be more relaxed.
Okay.
You imagine him
It's a necessary evil, I get you.
You can imagine him kind of like bargaining with himself on it. You know what I mean? Well, I guess I'll be more relaxed if I just give this night up as lost, but have a little bit of sex. And then tomorrow night I'll be much more in the zone.
Because if it wasn't, it'll basically like turn out like he is in Superman 3, where he's at a bar flicking peanuts at her in the mirror.
As the general public ask, where is Superman? Still a lovely scene though. And I love there's everything really stylized in the background there. He's bringing her back to the balcony now, and you've got sort of neon signs that all look almost 1950s, not 1970s, and I think that's deliberate. Although there is some compositing with plates of what must be New York there. Oh, we forgot to time ourselves.
Oh dear.
Yeah, because they shot a ton of kind of, I guess, second unit footage from the helicopter of New York.
Yeah.
Because if you watch Gremlins 2 at the beginning, all that stuff is unused footage from Superman.
Oh yeah.
Of the of Manhattan.
Don't think I knew that. We're about to see why Christopher Reeve is so special in this role.
He is iconic in the role for this reason.
No, it's just the slightest shift of body weight, and he goes between the two characters. That was sort of done with a bit. Yeah, that was an interesting effect because it was kind of done in one shot with kind of a plate.
That's very clever. Yeah, I think that's something I pointed to in my original review as well. It's just like, it just stands out so much.
Here we go. She's just walked off from him and he's just toying with telling her, look at this.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's magical.
He's just shifted to become about 2 inches taller in height. And his facial features just changed very slightly. But it was a subtle move. It was done in less than a second.
No, I think that's a really clever decision.
Lois, something I've got to tell you. I'm wearing 2 pairs of pants.
These glasses, they're fake. Oh,
Yeah. I've seen everything.
I have X-ray vision. Yeah, I do that. That's one of my favourite moments. I mean, it just shows that this film stands up many years on. And it's like the standard, one of the highest standards for superhero movies.
There are a handful of films out there that nothing can that have an untouchable quality, and nothing else feels like Star Wars.
This is one of them.
This is one of them. I try not to be an overly nostalgic person because I think looking backwards is not a good way to be. Secondly, we joke about it all the time. We talked about Walkmans the other day, and you two went fucking misty-eyed. they were shit.
They were crap.
Compared to what we have now.
Yeah, but you get misty of the time of you being young and doing stuff.
I understand all that, but what I'm saying is that there's a bit of that with this film, and I can't.
It's like VHS as well, isn't it? You watch it again now, and you think, oh yeah, I'm a bit raw, and you think the quality's shite compared to what we do have now.
What I'm saying is, I just try to just accept that like every year is a mix of good and bad.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But I think it just takes you back to a time that I don't know, you're happy, or it connects you with a particular memory in your past.
Well, that's probably a lot to do with it because I wasn't a happy kid, so I'm not nostalgic for an era because it wasn't good.
No, of course.
But,
everyone's different.
This makes me feel a way I've not felt as an adult, if you like, I guess.
Yeah, this have good feelings for you. Maybe that's why I'm sort of nostalgic for a lot of film and TV things like from 80s and 90s and early 2000s, just because I had a bit of a rough time at school and college, so it's kind of, just a bit of escapism. So
yeah, no, there's some of that, but there's some of that definitely. But I just think that the way this film makes you feel at a certain time,
it gives you the warm fuzzies.
It's
I must say, I would quite like a library.
Nothing's ever gonna feel like this, obviously.
I'd quite like to have Alexa's library. I think that's really cool. Just have like a big. Unfortunately, I do have a Kindle, but you can't. I still buy real books. Exactly.
Yeah,
but
I use my phone, and I use it. Well, I use a Kindle app on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I love
it. Good. But I still like to buy a physical book.
Do you know, that was another thing. I got all misty-eyed about it till I got a Kindle. In that, like, you can't beat the feel and smell of a book. And then I bought a Kindle and, like, fuck books. I go on holiday with one thin thing on me that reads exactly like a book and has the same quality on your eyes as well. Or I could do what I used to do and, like, try and fit 10 books in a fucking suitcase, so no.
Well, yeah, that's the main thing going away on holiday for me, is be like,
also,
instead of taking 10 books,
after you've read a book, it looks a bit fucking skanky and bent and horrible. I hated reading second-hand books.
So I didn't mind that. I mean, it depends on the book, but
not only
I
that,
don't mind.
People have read them on the toilet and stuff.
If they're in good condition.
People do. They take but when they're into a book and they need the loo, they go and continue reading it while they're sat having a shit, and then you go and buy
they just take their Kindle now.
Yeah, but I don't borrow anyone else's.
So you don't take that to the toilet. I should bomb on it.
I mean, if I'm reading my Kindle and you're reading yours, and I like the sound of the book you're reading, I don't just say, "Can I have your Kindle?" You haven't read it having a shit, have you?
You can share that poop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people look at their phones when having a shit now, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't buy any second-hand phones.
Well, now I know what I'm going to buy you for Christmas, Dave, and those books that you read whilst you're on the toilet. They've got cheesy jokes in them, or, trivia, useless trivia.
Just a quick question, as someone who's doesn't have a Kindle. Is there a difference in quality with an actual Kindle or any other tablet?
Yes.
Yeah, it depends, because one of them uses like e-ink on the top of the screen as well.
And also, if you go and buy a paperwhite, it's not backlit in the same way, so it doesn't cause eye strain in the same way. And despite having a subtle light in it, you sort of forget you're reading a device. It feels sort of like the quality of paper.
I would agree. I've got a Kindle White as well. A Kindle White, Paperwhite as well.
It's different than a phone. There's less eye strain, and the battery life's better. Obviously, if you read your phone you're going to wear that down quite quickly.
And it's not glass.
Yeah.
So there's no glare or anything like that.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot easier on your eyes.
If you sat with a tablet, light, yeah.
Other e-readers are available.
Yeah, but buy a Kindle because
they're better. I remember I used to work for Smiths a while ago, and they used to sell Nooks.
I know.
And I was like, oh my god, really? It's just like, they're not going to take off. Just buy a Kindle, it's fine. But it's still going though, so there is an alternative out there.
Yeah.
But from my side, anyway, I would always say buy books.
Right, so
this is a bit
JR's about to sexually assault a woman.
Back to the film. Oh dear.
Turn around while I have a good bond. This is pretty grim, actually.
Modern light.
Is this the bit that's got Larry Hagman in it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry. That was Larry Hagman. Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. JR just turned up. I paused it earlier, but now I'm like a second behind you.
Turn your backs, gents, while I
assault this person.
Well, I'll have a bit of me time.
A bit of me time.
A bit of me time.
Well, that sounds
like he's trying to That sounds like he's trying to look after his mental health or something, not fucking sexually assault somebody.
Why not both?
What
Dave?
are you doing? I'm just having a bit of me time. Don't you expect them to join the Cannonball Run now?
Yeah.
It's got that kind of feel.
Well, she was in it.
Valerie Perrine.
Yeah, the when you get the scene where Adrian Barbeau and the other girl, I'm not sure, in the Lamborghini, get pulled over, and she pulls down and she
She's
unzips.
the cop.
Yeah, she's the cop.
Because they keep unzipping to like beguile male
it's going to be a
cops.
guy, yeah,
And they look up and it's her.
And it's her.
I like how easy it is just to steal a nuke.
It doesn't make it look easy.
Don't make it that hard either.
In a minute, they're going to bump into Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. That's true.
So I've kind of started running the Cannonball Run in my head. I must stop doing that.
That's what YouTube's for.
Yep. Good on YouTube. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
We just
I always find it. I do find it instructive to watch these scenes without any kind of sound sometimes, because it's a good lesson for like editing. It just is, because you start noticing where it's baggy. We've seen that on quite a few reviews, and this I'm not saying this is a baggy film, but some of that could have been trimmed a little bit. Always shows up without sound.
We got no other distractions then, have you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you think, well, it's taking a hell of a long time to walk that distance or whatever it might be. She's got quite a wide brief, hasn't she, Lois? I mean, she's sent to the Eiffel Tower in the next one. In record time.
Yeah, record time.
Hang on, that's Larry Lamb.
On the Concorde.
That's Larry Lamb in the front of shot there. He's just sat down.
Oh yes, of course it is.
I've never noticed him in this one. I know he's at the end of Superman 3.
Which is he in Superman 3?
He's one of the he's one of the sort of miners where he's trying to get them to offer Gus a job because there's a little computer in the back.
Oh,
I don't know if I pointed that out as a cameo. He's been in EastEnders and
you reached yourself with and there, didn't you? Gavin and Stacey.
Gavin and Stacey, that was it. So it's been a bit of a day, so I'm a little bit out of it.
My favourite one was when you were talking about the kid from Temple of Doom, and you said he'll always be known to me as Short Round and then you paused and very quickly changed the subject because you realised you couldn't remember his character name from the Goonies.
No, I couldn't remember his name.
And him off the Goonies.
and so anyway, see the ball game? It was a bit like that.
It's something like Poindexter or something like that, wasn't it? Or
Data,
that was it.
I don't know, I hate the fucking film, so I don't care.
Thank you, Charlie. I knew you'd come through. And ...
Did they throw in a James Bond theme in there, or did they make one up of his intro?
Whose intro?
Yeah, they used the James Bond theme. Data in the Goonies.
Yeah, because he's got like
because he's
gadgets.
got a tape on him. He plays it on a tape.
Right.
Dave's fascinated.
I was going to say I've rethought it. Sounds like a masterpiece. To be fair, I've not seen it in years. As a kid, I really, really didn't like it, and as I saw it again as an adult and thought this is even worse. It does not hold up as an adult, which means it's purely nostalgia, which is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong to love a film because you loved it as a kid. Nothing wrong with that at all. But I'd be staggered if anyone saw that film as an adult for the first time and thought this is really good. I never liked that, I have to say. I never liked when his clothes just disappeared like that.
Yeah.
They do that in 2 as well.
His clothes just fell off.
Even before, yeah. And then he just flew off on the grass.
What must have happened? Must have had Patrick Stewart watching him from afar.
Yeah. And just going, I'd like to see him naked. And then suddenly... yeah. See, I like that in Superman Returns because he sort of flies up the elevator shaft and the clothes just sort of kind of drop.
Yeah. But it's when they just cut from interior to exterior, and it's just kind of, it works really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think that's, yeah.
That's how Nick Fury got away in the Winter Soldier, Chris.
It was.
Yeah, like that.
With his little lightsaber.
So again, for those in various different formats, Superman is just sort of basically bulging in the door at Lex's lair.
I love the look he gives Otis when he says, when he goes up after Lex goes to take the man's cape.
I know that look. Yeah, I remember that look. It's great.
Yeah.
And Miss Teschmacher's put her tits away, so she must be good now.
Miss Teschmacher!
Miss Teschmacher!
Your turn, Dave.
Yeah. Also best known as one of Shady Tree's acorns.
Yeah, she is. See, there's so many connections to this movie. I know, Dave, you didn't do your Mr. Smucker impression.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to do it.
We've all done one.
The moment's passed.
That's all good.
Oh no, he's got a button that launches stock footage, look.
I never noticed that before.
Yeah, that. I don't think I'd ever really thought about it either, but that is so obviously quite aging stock footage. Yeah. Still, let's relax and hear all about Otisburg.
Otisburg. Bitty place.
Otisburg.
Berg.
To be fair, this is slightly better than Kevin Spacey's plan to have a fucking splat in the middle of the Atlantic.
That was a bit random.
Like, it's going to have,
with alien technology that, like...
Yeah.
That, yeah.
To do what we don't know, and it's really ugly and a horrible splat, and yeah.
And looks almost uninhabitable.
Oh my god.
The problem with Superman Returns really was that they'd spent more than a decade arguing about what the tone of that film should be.
Yeah.
That when they finally decided and settled on it, it was almost like job done. Like, oh, thank God we've decided what we're going to do. And I think the story almost became an afterthought. Because originally, I mean, McGee was attached for a couple of times.
Yeah.
Brett Ratner was attached.
Apparently, McGee was the one who found Brandon Ruth.
Oh, that's cool.
He auditioned at the same time as Josh Hartnett.
Yeah. That would have been terrible.
I tend to think you're right. Brendan Fraser was offered it at one point, but that was a bit earlier in the process, sort of like 98 or something.
Well, they're going to have the George Miller Batman vs Superman as well.
That was a bit later, but yeah, that Army Hammer as Batman.
Yeah.
So I just can't picture it. I can't, like...
It's just having someone, a big star as Superman.
Which is not a good idea.
No.
You can get away with it in a lot of parts, but it's very, very difficult to have a superstar as Superman.
Yeah, so you can do it with Batman.
I mean,
Batman...
Redford had it right. They went to like Robert Redford for making this, and Robert Redford said, "People won't believe me as Superman."
No.
And what he was saying with as little ego as possible is because I'm Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Not because I can't play the role.
So Connery and Bond.
Yeah. It's
Oh, there's Norm from Cheers. Is
you
it
can
Norm?
It's Cliff Clavin.
Yeah, that's it, Cliff, sorry. Norm's the other one.
He should have he'd be good at fun facts.
He would.
Because that was the character. Load of like pointless trivia.
Yeah,
although
because he was
pre-internet, most of it was like made up and not accurate.
Like my facts then.
He was in Superman 2 as well.
He was at I think he was at the space station.
Yeah.
That's fun facts.
Mission Control.
Mission Control, yeah.
And as one of the Rebel base commanders in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And wasn't he
So many
Diamonds as
film
well?
captains.
Am I thinking of...
I don't remember him in Diamonds Are Forever. That's not to say he wasn't there. I just don't remember it.
I don't know. I'm sure I
You'd
might
have
be
been a
getting
little
confused.
young at that point as well, I would think.
I might be getting confused. Because I'm sure I remember he was in a Bond film. Like a small role.
I'll look him up. John Ratzenberger.
Yeah, born in 47.
He's always got a count. Yeah, I mean, he'd been 24, so it's not impossible that he was in Diamonds, but I don't think so.
He was in Firefox,
Yeah, let's have a look.
which had a Bond film kind of feel to it.
You always hear his voice in Pixar films. He's
yeah.
single one. I don't know where and how that started, but he is.
Yeah, he's got to be in all of them.
Yeah. I don't know if he's just like a good luck charm for them or whatever.
Interesting.
His first film credit is not till 1976, so he won't have been in Diamonds.
Okay.
He was in both the first two Superman films. He was in Empire Strikes Back, but I knew that. I'm looking for other things we might have seen him in. Firefox, you're absolutely right. He was in Gandhi. I don't remember that. I'm just looking at films, because obviously he did loads and loads of TV.
Hanover Street, which was Harrison Ford, and Leslie Ann Down.
Yeah, then we're into all the stuff we know, actually. So
Outland with Sean Connery.
Sorry?
Yeah. Outland with Sean Connery.
Outland's great.
That's basically High Moon, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then it's all the stuff we know. So no, he hasn't been in a Bond film that I can see. I'd have been very surprised if he was, because I mean, even big fans of Bond will find things out they don't know now and again. But that would have been a big miss if I'd never noticed that.
Yeah,
I probably just misremembered them. I'm sure it was
That's
something.
all right.
maybe you thought it was Shane Rimmer.
Probably, yeah, that's probably what it was. I got too mixed up.
Well, there was this kind of, it was almost like incestuous, I guess, because all these films were made in Britain. Maybe, I don't know, but so I don't know exactly why, but it had all these kind of group of actors that appeared like the way he was in Empire as well, and he was in Firefox. Firefox also had Admiral Piet from Empire Strikes Back as one of the Russian military guys, and just Shane Rimmer was in these films as well, and so it's kind of Jeremy Bulloch was in Spy Love Me, and General Veers from Empire was in For Eyes Only.
Yeah.
Julian Glover, obviously, as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
and obviously was in Empire, and then
in Star
Last
Wars.
All
Crusade.
three films.
and Ronald Lacey, who was Tote, was also in Firefox.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Firefox as well.
As well as being the baby-eating Bishop of Bath and Wells.
His finest performance.
I quite like Firefox actually.
It was a very slow film, but I remember
Yeah.
quite liking it. I mean, it is almost unforgivably slow, because we're not just talking contemplative pace. We are talking like nothing's happening. Come on.
Yeah,
I remember really enjoying it.
Almost to compensate for the kind of final act being so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it
because
totally
it's like
delivers
the
when it
first
gets
two
there.
acts are almost like a Bond film or like a Harry Palmer film, and then the final act is much more kind of like Top Gun type thing.
Yeah.
Or Star Wars, kind of very.
Got a load of people.
But of course, I saw it as a kid because it's like a 1983 film or something.
Oh, absolutely,
You go to see a film, or you get hold of a film, or it's on TV or whatever, called Firefox. So as a kid, it was like, when's this going to happen? But I remember enjoying it, despite it's one of the slowest films I like, if you like.
Yeah.
This is one of those films that I would accept any bad review on the basis of its pacing, but I liked it.
Yeah.
They always keep a bit of ambiguity about kryptonite, just how quickly it acts, what proximity, how much, is there any permanent damage, how quickly do you recover. They always keep that kind of ambiguous.
It could be down to the dosage of the said kryptonite.
Size of it, where it is on you. Yeah, I guess all of that, but I say kind of ambiguous.
Like how pure it is or whatever.
He's fine in a moment.
Yeah.
That is the very same rock Spacey steals in Returns.
Yeah.
Because it actually says found in Addis Ababa in 1978.
Yeah.
Obviously, next time I watch Superman Returns, I'm fully expecting Christopher Plummer to be in the role, though.
Usual suspects.
Yeah, imagine having Christopher Plummer in Seven.
He's getting quite chatty now, look. Right,
Apparently,
so, go on, sorry, Charlie.
apparently Shane Rimmer was in Gandhi as well.
He's had a really long career.
That's the one really weak effect in the film there. He's flown up and then he's sort of come towards the camera and flown away, and the camera's moving all at the wrong pace and everything, but it's a minor thing.
If anybody wants to find out more about Shane Rimmer's career, I urge you to listen to the Jerry Anderson podcast. And there's an exclusive interview.
It's really wooden, though. Sorry.
He wobbles around like string.
The yokels.
But it's a really interesting interview, so do listen.
Cool.
That was a James Bond style reaction shot then, the two guys taking the fence.
That was a little bit.
It was a little bit like the fucking clampers in The World Is Not Enough at the start.
God.
You know, no, I think we really
hated
needed.
that.
We really needed double taking pigeon.
Yeah.
Go to wine bar.
He's up in the air, he must fly past him. An action pigeon. A stunt pigeon, if you will. And if they can get the same pigeon that was in Moonraker, they can sort of offer him a chance to sort of literally spread his wings, try something new in the role. Because he was kind of just stood in St. Mark's Square the first time.
He would have been a good Bond.
Who?
The pigeon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Better than the fucking parrot.
I was going to say better than Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, poor bros.
I've never seen a pigeon do a fucking pain face or narrow its eyes and purse its lips.
Funny enough, I was watching GoldenEye yesterday with the missus, and she was like, yeah, he does pout a lot, doesn't he?
I know. I just think it's a bit
Daniel
like...
Craig does that.
He doesn't pout. He has a natural
He does,
positioning
yeah.
to his mouth that is akin to a pout. That's different.
He looks like a pout.
Whereas Brosnan's just like a fucking male model. He can't...
We're basically trying to... Isn't it basically he's doing Blue Steel?
Yeah, basically.
He's trying to be suave yet serious. I think that's the reasoning behind it.
It's a bit like the Bonds either side of him were like an owl and an eagle, or an albatross, and he was a pigeon. Commercially and for the survival of the series, they did absolutely the right thing, recasting Timothy Dalton. But there's no doubt, with the benefit of like a couple of decades away from it, he's bookended by two massively better James Bonds than he was. You don't have that sort of debate about Christopher Reeve, though, because I doubt there'll ever be a better Superman.
No, it's hard to top, really, isn't it?
I think you could get a decent Superman. I think written correctly, Brandon Routh would have been okay.
I think Cavill would be okay.
I meant to say Cavill, actually, but I could say that for Brandon Routh as well if they had more to say in the suit. But
yeah, because I think in Justice League, he's much more the character you're hoping to see. Yeah, the 10 minutes of that film that wasn't interminable.
Yeah.
That he was good, and it felt like actually like Superman.
Yeah, I mean he's not the Superman, but he is Superman, if you like.
Yeah.
That was the way I felt about it. I'm not so wedded to this version that there can never be another.
No.
But I still think I will probably get to the end of my life, and he will have been the Superman.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But that doesn't mean there won't be others that we'll really enjoy.
It's a bit of a shame, really, because even in Justice League, when he goes evil, as that bit of the film.
Well, when he first sort of comes round and they're all fighting.
It's really good. He really buy it as that's an evil Supes. Not just like he's just acting evil, but it feels like if Superman went bad, that's what it'll be.
Left MI6. No, hang on. Hey, they ought to do that in a Bond film, you know. Have him go rogue. That'll make a change, won't it?
Really?
That'll make a change.
But how about like justify his existence? Make it.
I think
the
Bond film should do more to talk about the place of MI6 in the world today. and really, we want to see loads of like MQ and Tanner, because that's why we go to see these films.
And obviously more of Bond and Madeline, because that was such a great piece
I thought they
chemistry.
had wonderful chemistry. I thought it's a bit of a waste of her, actually, because I do quite like Leia Seydoux, but they didn't make that relation. Right, let's forget our overall feelings on Spectre. Even if you were to like Spectre, their chemistry wasn't sold. The idea that it was a love wasn't sold.
I'm just looking forward to the next one where it turns out she was a fembot.
Yes, Sir James, we knew that.
Yes,
Becca would be all along, because then presumably he'd stroll naked through the lobby.
Wait a tick, that means I'm single again.
No, behave,
Austin.
God. I'm just picturing Daniel Craig just do like
with his velvet suit on.
No, just like do like a naked dance in hotel lobbies, just.
What, in the bit at the end of the scene
in the pre-cycle sequence,
a swimsuit on with like a little clip on his nose.
Yeah.
As long as there's a winking fish, then.
That never bothered me. It was such a throwaway thing, right on top of the credits. It didn't bother me, the winking fish.
I think that's the thing, because it's the last thing you see. To me,
it's like the last frame before credits.
Yeah. But tonally, to me, it's like something that you would expect from a police academy film.
Yeah. I suppose tonally, it's a bit like just as he kisses her at the end of the film, he farts and follows through.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, wait on a minute, what have you just done that for?
Or like having a parrot talking to Margaret Thatcher.
It's so out of place, like, for the rest of the film being quite serious. All of a sudden it's like, I don't know, let's throw a bit of humour, not just like, let's make it a bit subtle. No, let's go fucking full Roger Moore at his most stupid, like...
Yeah.
This is upsetting. And again, it's another one of those things where you could recut it and rescore it to make it look like it was in The Omen.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's very hard. I think it's a fact of life being a woman, just generally in society, that if you scream a lot in a role, it's seen as shrill and unwelcome.
Yeah.
So the fact that she has sold this in 2 scenes in the same film now is quite impressive. Superman's about to save Toy Town, though. Remember?
It is a bit like Toy Town.
Yeah, this is the kind of Thunderbirds again with the water and getting that scale right.
This
So
film
That's
is
what it
featured
was.
quite a lot in films.
I think it was effectively reshoots or them trying to work out. I think it's when they realised they were going to have to put the Earth turning backwards into this one.
Yeah.
They changed the third act of the film. And so they had to do some of it fairly quickly. And the miniatures do look awful here. And it just strikes of it being rushed. That looks like a little rockery you'd make at school. Primary school, you know. I don't mean during like maths A level or something. Got the speed of the water that it's there. He's just about to like tumble a load of rock down in the where we are, and you've just got like a shot down on the town, and it does look like something you could make in like an ice cream tub.
DIY. Here's one I made earlier.
For some old egg packets,
Yeah.
egg boxes.
So there you go. You can make Tracy Island. If you can do that, you can do this.
Yeah. You actually did try to make Tracy Island.
How'd it go?
Yeah.
I never did.
Then I went to
Neither
bought
did
it.
I. Oh shit! I forgot something.
No.
I hope you mean in the film and not like I have an hit record or something. Start again.
No. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Can't do another 2 hours.
There you go. Derek Meddings started doing it, but then had other. I don't know if he was working on Moonraker at the time,
Probably.
but
Probably,
it had to be given to another company.
That's a fun fact.
Fun fact, kids.
Adams or Toys R Us.
Same Brand Farron, same the Star Trek guy.
Oh, God.
Kids today probably won't know who Toys R Us are.
Well,
even.
they only went bust about 4 months ago. I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, this is unsettling. She effectively drowns, stroke suffocates.
I mean, it was really haunting to see remembering it as a kid. Really, it's like quite. Oh, that's rough.
He's like, shit, that's my bird. Not actual dialogue.
But he does get on the Brosnan Lazenby.
Yeah.
Oh.
We can only be can only be pleased Brosnan wasn't cast because he'd be in like Flynn. Yeah.
But it's when her like head just flops and he's just all broken.
Yeah,
By
and it's like she seems so frail, and he's like really thinks he's done something as well, and
He still hasn't learnt his limits at this stage.
yeah,
He's not at the stage where he accepts he can do. He has to pick and choose what he does.
yeah.
Which
That's
is
why.
the whole point of this plot.
Well, yeah, that's why I hate when people say Superman's a boring character because of all his powers. It's like completely misses the point of who he is as a character.
Yeah, but like I've always said, the vulnerability or otherwise of your skill set is dependent on what the plot needs.
Yeah.
So if we need Superman to be vulnerable, they'll find a way to make him vulnerable. You know, if they need him to overpower everyone, that's what he'll do. I've never recognised that criticism of the character at all. I think it's fucking ludicrous, frankly. Particularly as you've got other types of skill sets out there that he's not designed to fight. I mean, Superman against Doctor Strange is not a given for Superman, is it? I know it's different universes, but you know what I'm trying to say. That, like, or how does he suddenly cope against like manipulating time and magic and stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's actually utter nonsense to say that he's got an unbeatable skill set. What I have more of a problem when you have.
Well, it's like that two bombs go off at the same time. What do you do, Soups? You know, it's like that kind of thing.
You know, and they tend to scale the threat to who you are anyway. So when you get a Batman film, he's not fighting generally. I know you have Batman v Superman, but generally in a Batman film, or a good one, you don't put him up against someone with Superman's skill set.
No.
Because he's fucking mortal. That would be ludicrous. So I don't recognise those complaints about the character at all. I think it's a lazy critique from people who haven't thought it through. I think the bigger concern is where a skill set is inconsistent or ill-defined. So if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think they've been guilty of that with both Scarlet Witch and Vision so far. Because when Vision was introduced in Age of Ultron, he looked ridiculously overpowered. It just looked like, well, this guy can do fucking anything then.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit like that with Scarlet Witch. It's like, well, is it just force fields or is it mind control? What is it? What is it she can do? And it's so ill-defined. And Doctor Strange has this problem at the moment, but that may be because he's only really had one film to himself so far. But
so he's a prick.
It's a little bit at the moment that, like, well, if the plot needs him to be able to do it, he'll be able to do it. And I just think, well, what if I sat down and defined his skill set? I wouldn't know where it starts and ends.
Yeah.
Superman's, I could sit down and write it. What I wouldn't necessarily know is the absolute strength of it in that continuity. So, you'd write down super speed, super strength, heat vision, etc. But what you wouldn't necessarily be able to say with absolute clarity is what the degree of his strength would be in the one you're watching. But you could sit down and define his skill set. And there are superheroes we've got now in modern continuities where maybe comic book fans would know, but the average viewer doesn't know where Scarlet Witch and Vision's skill set begins and ends at the moment. And that's far harder to tell for decent storytelling than, oh, he's a bit overpowered.
Yeah.
It's kind of convenient to have turning around time and all the other problems have just stopped. Well, yes, it's like he's turned back the clock.
I know. And she's still talking about it like it's all happened. And that when you look there, there's no earthquake and stuff. So, yeah, I know. It's always been... I still think this is one of the greatest superhero films ever made. Yeah. Maybe even the greatest. But if it's got a flaw, it's the third act, and they'll admit that. They admit they rushed it. They threw the ending they intended for 2 onto 1. It is a bit problematic. And the problems then reverberate through the series, because he's just flown round the Earth countless times in seconds. And yet in Superman 2, it takes him about fucking 5 minutes to fly to Paris. Mind you, Lois seemed to teleport there, but there you go.
Apparently there was a deleted scene where she got on the Concorde.
Right.
And supposedly there was a scene of Superman flying past it, or flying past a Concorde.
Oh, right, okay.
I think if there's still a line in it or something, maybe even in another one about her on the Concorde, I don't know.
I don't have a major problem with it.
But, I know.
But I think this film gets lionised as perfect because Christopher Reeve was so good in the role. The supporting cast were great, and some of them were huge names as well. And it's the iconic portrayal. It's also got that score. It's also got that dreamlike quality we've talked about, but it isn't perfect. It just isn't. As great as it is, there's a lot of problems in the last half an hour of this film. But I don't care because it's magnificent.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I think he might be about to prejudice his own trial here. There's so much they could do with Superman. There's so much they could do with his, as villains. I've read Elseworld takes that are really great. I mean, they won't do it because it wouldn't be commercial enough, but something like Red Son would be amazing.
Yeah.
But
there's a film James Gunn's producing.
like a horror version. I've read something about it, but not.
Oh,
very
yeah.
much.
That rings a bell.
A horror take on Superman,
Bright
but I don't know if it's
something or
literally.
something bright. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's like bright.
Brightness, Brightburn.
Oh.
This
That's
shot.
terrifying.
Before we go any further, we're going to get the iconic shot here.
Yeah.
Look, I love that. They use that in all four.
Mm.
Doesn't really work by the time of 4 because it looks like he flies into space, grows his own hair back, grows some muscles, puts on a better coloured suit. Yeah.
Gets out of Milton Keynes.
He doesn't look the same by the 4th one, but I love that shot, and I just think it's a lovely little touch. They even recreated it for Superman Returns, which is understandable given what that film was, but
Yeah.
it's nice because it sounds cheesy, but Superman is like our friend, our big brother, our protector, and he's for
Oh, yeah.
one, which is why it's welcome to have him pick a cat out of a tree.
Apparently, Richard Donner had to really kind of fight for it to allow him to smile.
Yeah. See, if I was Derek Meddins, I'd want it to say it's directed and created by Derek Meddins, brackets, except those crap ones, close brackets. Except fucking Toy Town, close brackets. Stuart Freeborn, the inspiration for the look of Yoda.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's a genius, that guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
His Jabba the Hutt as well was amazing.
Ho, 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 ho.
Second unit direction, John Glen. Is that the John Glen?
Presumably.
I would imagine
Well,
so.
It's second unit,
director,
so
isn't it?
probably.
Sounds right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't never notice that before.
Yeah, because Lewis Gilbert was Moonraker, wasn't he?
Yes.
So-
That means then, if he was second unit director, theoretically he probably directed the reaction shots of those like yokels painting the fence, where we said that's really Bond-like. That is
Yeah.
by definition a second unit shot.
Yeah, because apparently he did
If he
second
wants
unit
to.
on this, on Superman and the Wild Geese.
Which has got Roger Moore in it.
Yeah.
I think it has. Yeah, so we're in the run up to sort of Moonraker here, which is the last one before Glenn takes the.
Mm. And he was responsible for the double take pigeon.
Yeah, because he was second unit. Yeah, he probably
Well, he was an editor as well.
Yeah, he would have rocked the shot, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, like they do with the Tuscan Raider and
I
Star
mean,
Wars.
when I say second unit, I don't mean he went up to a pigeon in St Mark's Square and said, "Can you just look at that twice?" you've got to do it in the edit.
Now, can you do that one more with...
Just another one. We want look. You've got to look more shocked. You've not seen stuff like this before. Think about your motivation.
I love Moonraker.
That was good, but I'm not quite believing the disbelief. Can you just give me one more?
I'm not buying the pigeon knee enough of it. Not pigeony enough.
Look, pigeon.
To be honest, I felt more.
Wasn't jerky enough.
Yeah, I felt I was getting more of a Crow vibe from you there. Look, Roger's gone through 5 suits to get this shot.
Let's get here.
There's plenty of other pigeons out there we can put in your place. Oh, fuck it, I'll do it in the editing room.
Pigeon, you're not the only one.
And that's exactly how that conversation went, listeners.
And that's why you get the age-old saying, never work with pigeons.
Yeah. Yeah, just pigeons. Nothing about animals or children.
All children, no, just pigeons.
Don't work with child pigeons. They're shit. Alf Joint, stunt coordinator.
The Alf joint, you know.
The Alf Joint. I doubt there's another Alf Joint. That's not
Special kind of joint that you use for stunts, you know.
Alf Joint the butcher.
Yeah, literally. His other day job was a butcher.
I think it's not mentioned until the very end, but the credits were done by a guy called Richard Greenberg.
Right.
And he did Alien as well the next year.
Very interesting.
We're finally at cast. This will be over in hours.
It's a really long credit sequence.
It's the fact they play the whole of the Superman main title and then the whole of the love theme.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You don't really mind sticking around because you just get like, I get to listen to this.
Yeah, at least they didn't interrupt it for a mid-credit sequence, with like them breaking out of the fucking Phantom Zone or something.
It's like they do in Superman 2 where it says, coming soon, Superman 3.
It's like, yeah, we can figure that out just by pure numbering convention.
Yeah, and Samuel Jackson's going to walk on and like, you think you're the only superhero?
Third crewman there, David Calder. David Calder was Sir Robert King in The World Is Not Enough.
Yes, he was.
You think there'll people like watch that first time round when it came out and think like, what's the deal with them other Kryptonians? I kept thinking they were going to make an appearance. I'm confused.
Yeah, well, that is a flaw, I suppose, because it's setting up something in the first act that never pays off within that film. So yeah, but you are supposed to sort of take the first two films together, and that still kind of works. Hey, recorded in Dolby Stereo, 2 channels of sound, folk.
Amazing.
Clark Kent's wardrobe furnished by Barney's.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Star Wars was the first film with Dolby Stereo.
I think it was, because there was still a mono version of it. Based upon the character Superman.
Really?
Yeah, I was stunned. I thought, this was a Superman film?
Really?
I thought I was watching Green Lantern.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear. That film
Directed
went well,
by?
didn't it? That film went well. Directed by that guy who's never done shit all of any standard outside of Bond.
He did Zorro.
Actually, no, he did some good stuff on TV.
Chris, you beat
I've got
me
to
to
take
it.
that back. No, Zorro weren't that good, but he did do some very, very good TV. So.
They did Edge of Darkness, didn't
No, exactly. I've got to
Yeah, I think
take
he's
that
probably more
back.
known for TV, I think.
In the Heart. Is it? What's that? Is it Into the
Edge of
Darkness?
Darkness.
Yeah.
Really, really good. That's Superman, folks. We're just counting down the last few seconds of the file, but it is effectively finished.
Yeah, I think it was all right.
It was all right. I mean, not a patch on Batman v Superman, obviously, because you got twice the superhero-age for
Exactly.
your money, plus some cameo adverts of them, the others. I particularly like Lex drew logos for them all, which was nice.
I much prefer Superman 4 because it had a really strong political message.
That's true. It taught me that a nuclear bomb in the face is probably a bad idea, and I didn't know that. And it also taught me that when kids all over the country are told to write to their congressman, only one of them will write to Superman. But presumably he's blackmailed Superman because Superman gives in immediately. So he's got something on Supes, I reckon.
It taught me that to find Superman, you don't have to go to Metropolis. You just have to go to Milton Keynes.
Oh yeah, you just go to a 3-star hotel in Milton Keynes, and you can meet the rest of the United Nations. Bad film.
I still prefer it to Batman versus Superman, though.
Tonight's hot take. It's not very good. Yeah, okay. We have reviewed and commentated on Superman 4, I think. I think we did a commentary as well. I think that was a night you couldn't make it, Charlie, actually. We were meant to record a music one or something like that, or move on to Star Wars. and you weren't available. So we was like, what do we do to get a recording in tonight? And we hadn't long done Superman, so we did a Superman 4 commentary.
I don't remember doing a Superman 4 commentary.
I'm pretty sure we did, didn't we? Oh no. Or am I getting confused with it? Well, we did a Batman and Robin commentary after Batman, didn't we?
Yeah.
I don't think maybe we didn't do a Superman commentary.
I don't know.
No, I don't think we did. I think we did. Oh no. We just did the ordinary episode on that. I am thinking of Batman and Robin. They are kind of interchangeable as complete fucking nonsense. Basically, the only real difference is, Superman 4 thinks it has a serious message, and Batman and Robin has a budget. That's the only real difference. They're both ludicrous. And again, tonight's hot take.
I'm shocked.
I know. All right, folks. Let's do social media because we're getting rather late and this is running kind of long. Social media.
Yeah.
You can find me at Cinematronics on Twitter, even though I barely tweet anyway. But yeah, you can find me on there. You also find all the episodes that may not be available on iTunes on cinematronics.co.uk.
You can find me at the Pasty Kid 1976 on Twitter.
You can find me at Movie Drone on Twitter.
Are you still doing your Movie Drone podcast?
I haven't done it for a while. Have you noticed there's another Movie Drone podcast?
I noticed there was another Movie Drone podcast. Yeah, I was about to say there was another Movie Drone handle. Then I realised that was for a podcast. I meant to tell you, but I thought you probably already noticed.
Yeah.
You should sue them for damages.
You should.
You were about to make £0 out of that, and they cut right into your profit margin.
Well, there was a Movie Drone podcast before. Movie Drone's kind of I've taken it on as the my column at the very popular music website, The Quietist. So you should visit that and read my stuff.
For Film School Rejects.
Yeah.
I noticed. I've read a couple of your articles on there.
And I just recently did a piece about Superman music for that. So
I think that's one of the articles I'm referring to. I read that.
Yeah.
School Rejects. Yeah.
Go and read that. And Becca.
So yes, you can follow us on @Expect Us to Talk. Also the same on Facebook. Do you expect us to talk? And you can also find us the same on YouTube and also iTunes. If you type in "Do you expect us to talk?" you can find us on there. Please leave us a glowing review. 3 stars or more, please.
No,
Why
5
would you ask
stars.
for a 3-star review? There's just no point.
We don't accept anything other than 5.
I mean, if I go on to like a podcast, it's a bit like Amazon, right? If you go onto Amazon and a product's got 3.5 stars, it's shit. Because basically, passable means just give it a maximum score. Seriously, give us a review if you're minded to give us a good review. If you're not, thank you for your interest. You know?
Yeah.
But all the ones on Amazon, you get all the really moronic people that just kind of say this arrived the day after I wanted it to.
Yeah,
no stars.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
But you have
I always every time
Lawrence of
everybody
Arabia.
says that.
Lawrence of Arabia arrived 4 hours late. 1 star.
Postman left it outside my shed.
Yeah.
1 star.
No, the kids have gone to bed hungry and crying.
Was watching this in my bedroom and my wife caught me.
1 star.
Why watch this without me?
This product was perfect, but I've dropped it and it stopped working. 1 star.
I took this in the bath and now it doesn't work. 1 star.
Yeah.
No, seriously, obviously, I always say that with a little bit of sarcasm. But yeah, no, it's obviously 5 stars or more if possible.
Well, accept 4 stars on the basis that at the moment there are, as we've said before, there are 4 of us and we are all at least 1-star podcasters.
I'll accept 4 stars as long as I can give you my PayPal address as well.
Yeah.
Yes, £10 sent to Charlie.
£10 is a bit slim. You realise how much labour I've put in tonight.
Yeah.
£100.
Yeah,
Bloody hell, Becca.
I was hoping lots of people would do it, and so it would build up and up and up.
Jeez, you might be the worst negotiator ever. £10, please. No. 100. All right.
$100 billion.
All right. A book of stamps. Okie dokie. Right, we are we'll be recording other things in the interim. We've got the Christmas commentary next week, but that sits outside continuity, which means in continuity we're returning to Marvel, which means Becca.
do you expect to talk or return with our review of Age of Ultron?